Okoniwa, we are one, we are Cowsol, and we stand by our husbands. We are the mothers of the land. We will build with our hands a Lagos filled with greatness. We are strong. We are Cowsol, Okoniwa. We will serve our land. We will stand for our people. We will rise and together we will build our home. We are strong. We are Cowsol, Okoniwa. Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials. Inú ilé rẹ̀ obìnrin ló kọ́mọ lérò. Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials. Inú ayé yìí obìnrin ló kọ́mọ lérò. We are strong. We are Cowsol, Okoniwa. We are strong. We are Cowsol, Okoniwa.
Thank you very much. May we all be seated at this point in time. It is another year, the year 2017, and it is the 17th edition of the National Women's Conference organized by the Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials, Cowsol. The theme for this year, She Creates and She Transforms. On behalf of the Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials, ably Her Excellency Mrs. Bolanle Ambode, I welcome each and every one of us to another 3 days of information, education, enlightenment, productivity, and indeed a fulfilling time in this auditorium. I think we all deserve a round of applause. Please welcome with me to the podium for a welcome address, Her Excellency, the wife of the Governor of Lagos State and the Chairman of Cowsol, Mrs. Bolanle Ambode.
Your Excellency, my darling husband, the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Akiwumi Ambode, the special guest of honor and Governor of Akwa Ibom State, His Excellency, Mr. Emmanuel Udom, Your Excellency, the Grand Matron, Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials, Her Excellency Senator Oluremi Tinubu, represented by Mrs. Olayinka Agunsoye. Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Dr. Idiat Oluranti Adebule, the Executive Committee and members of Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials, Iyaloja General, Chief Mrs. Folashade. The annual National Women's Conference of the Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials Council is here again. It is the 17th in the series, and it seems like yesterday since we held the last edition at this same venue a year ago. As we all probably know, the idea of this annual conference came up about 18 years ago to revitalize Cowsol, which had been in existence for more than 4 decades. Since its first edition, the conference has steadily moved from grace to greater grace. We give all glory to God for where we are today, because we know that Cowsol is going higher. With much humility thereof, I give profound commendation to the founder of Cowsol, our departed matriarch, Her Excellency Mama Olufunmilayo Mobolaji Johnson. The small seed she planted decades ago has grown into a large tree. I also give profuse commendation to our most distinguished Senator, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, OON, our Grand Matron, who envisioned this annual conference and organized the pioneering editions. May the good Lord bless you with more wisdom and good health to continue your selfless service to the women and good people of Lagos State. I have kind words of commendation for my immediate predecessor, Her Excellency Dame Abimbola Fashola. She put in so much effort to improve Cowsol. We appreciate you and pray that God will continue to strengthen you for greater impact on the women of these states. Distinguished guests, now the much awaited, much talked about National Women Conference 2017 is here. And with a heart brimming with joy, I welcome everyone to this familiar venue. Very importantly, I warmly welcome the mother of the day, who has said is an eminent member of Cowsol, Her Excellency, Mrs. Dolapo Osinbajo, wife of the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. She has traveled all the way from Abuja to declare the conference open. She epitomizes kindness, meekness, diligence, and hard work. She is a woman of great virtue who envisions skill acquisition as economic empowerment, not only for women, but also the generality of academically less inclined youths. Your presence in our midst is testimony to your love for the women of Lagos State. May God heed your call at all times. We especially welcome our special guest of honor, His Excellency Mr. Imale Udom, Governor of Akwa Ibom State. Sir, we are humbled by the manner you easily accepted our invitation to serve in that capacity despite your busy schedule. Thank you, sir, for this great honor. On a personal note, with a heart full of gratitude, I welcome the Governor of Lagos State, my darling husband, His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, His Excellency Mr. Akiumi Ambode. I cannot stop appreciating you. What cannot adequately describe what you represent in my life. You have never abandoned me. You are my hidden strength. You are my hidden strength and dependable darling. Thank you for living up to every promise you made. The women have also mandated me to express their gratitude to you for your constant support for them. You have always been there for us, never tired of our requests, and have never ignored our frequent calls for welfare improvements. You represent the best for the women of this state. Thank you, sir. We welcome all the governors who are currently taking time their busy schedules to personally attend this conference. Our gratitude is profound, and we are very happy to have you in our midst. I welcome all the wives of governors, my beautiful sisters, who have graciously honored our invitation to be part of this conference. We appreciate this great honor and pray that God will always reference you. Similarly, we welcome the royal fathers and all the distinguished personalities, their representatives, sponsors, and delegates, especially those that traveled down from other states to participate in the conference. Distinguished guests, this conference had the unique theme, She Creates, She Transforms, and with a theme, Trust of Creativity and Skill Acquisition. The theme is expected to focus on the ingenuity of the Nigerian women in the pursuit of innovative and practical solutions aimed at achieving sustainable development within her immediate sphere and community at large. Women are uniquely created, endowed with skills, and blessed with creativity. We are helpmates. We care for the family. We impart our immediate environment positively. The woman, out of very little creates, will transform the little created to something bigger and better. Our transformation effort extends to all facets of human engagement. Along this line, therefore, we have carefully selected a number of relevant topics which will be examined by renowned facilitators. Some of the topics for preliminary include building a better world. This session is to prepare participants for innovative solutions to a variety of social and economic problems. Women in agriculture. As food security is a global concern, this session will examine sustainable farming and the promotion of locally grown organic products to achieve healthier and more productive lives. Women empowerment, a pathway to development. Building on the gains of last year's conference, which had the theme, Strong Family, Strong Nation. This session will examine issues pertaining to setting up small-scale enterprises as a tool for poverty alleviation. Financing options for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. Micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises are the drivers and engines of growth. This session will examine financing options that can be accessed by women and provide tips to ensure their successful participation in the various spheres, among others. There are two types of people who will tell you that you cannot make a difference in this world. Those who are afraid to try and those who are afraid you will succeed. My dear women, it is important we use this opportunity of this forum to counsel one another on a number of vital issues that border on the family, the home, and the larger society. An important one is that as women, we must have zero tolerance to the barbaric practice of female genital mutilation. The campaign must start from our homes, churches, mosques, offices, etc. Female genital mutilation is evil, it is wicked, it is antisocial and unjustifiable. In fact, it's a crime against women. We must devote time for enlightenment and awareness, especially among uneducated mothers. We must stand together against it until the practice is totally eradicated in our country and the world. Also, we must never fail to the temptation of pursuing economic empowerment at the expense of taking good care and paying attention to our children. Children who did not enjoy good parental care easily grow to potentially dangerous youths that become nightmares for the society. The rising trend of leaving the girl child entirely in the care of housemates, neighbors, or strangers in pursuit of income or for flimsy reasons should be discouraged. We must desist from and discourage child labor, child abuse, and fight child trafficking with all our strength. We owe it a duty to give good parenting to our children and indeed all other children put in our care. We must give them hope and allow them to see the positive side of life as a way of bringing back good morals and societal stability. What set the successful ones apart is their courage and persistence. We must persist in our quest for a better and transformed society. The saying goes that anyone can have a child and be called a parent, but a real parent is the one who puts the child's welfare above selfish desires. Distinguished guests, I wish to note with satisfaction that Cowsol recorded more achievements in the course of the year. Last year, we upgraded the ENT department of the General Hospital Odon, Lagos with complete modern equipment. This year, we decided to sustain the momentum by equipping 4 general hospitals with auto-read portable QAE for auditory screening of newborn. The hospitals are Badagry General Hospital, Ifakoijai General Hospital, Ikorodu General Hospital, and Bagada General Hospital. We took the decision based on our belief that early screening of babies for possible hearing defects will enable easier management of the health condition. Cowsol also donated an intensive care unit, ICU, facility to Lagos Island Maternity. This is informed of our resolve to complement the tenacious efforts of the state government in combating maternal and infant mortality. In addition, Cowsol's love for humanity and a burning desire to put smiles on the faces of less privileged persons resulted in our frequent visits to orphanage homes. This we did last year, this year, and we continue to do so. I appeal that we always extend a hand of love to this class of humanity. Nothing is too big and nothing is too small. Distinguished delegates, I'm happy to announce to you there are 6 brand new cars and many other mouth-watering prizes to be won at the raffle this year. So, do not miss tomorrow gala. You may just be the one to pick up the next car keys. Amen. The Cowsol Inspirational Woman of the Year Award is given to a woman who has distinguished herself in a career and has positively impacted women in the society. This year's award goes to engineer Mrs. Sandra Aguebo, MFR, MPOM, also known as Lady Mechanic. Congratulations on your well-deserved award. The certificate will be presented to you shortly by the Mother of the Day and wife of Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Her Excellency, Mrs. Dolapo Osinbajo. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I wish to announce to you that Cowsol now has an anthem. It will be officially rendered for the 4th time shortly. As I round up this address on behalf of Cowsol, I thank all individuals and corporate bodies who have assisted us in diverse ways to keep the flag flying. We appreciate your consistent and reliable support. May God generously bless you and your business endeavors. I must not forget to commend my hardworking, resourceful, and beautiful sisters in Cowsol. My profound appreciation goes to the Conference Planning Committee members for their diligence, commitment, and efforts towards making this year's conference a huge success. May God bless you with good health and renew your strength like the eagle. According to Walter Disney, all our dreams can come through if we have the courage to pursue them. Opportunities do not just happen, you create them. I urge all participants to pay good attention for new ideas to create new opportunities for themselves. I also enjoin you to make the sessions as interactive as possible. On this happy note, I welcome everyone to the conference and I wish you happy deliberations. Ìtẹ̀síwájú ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó ló jẹ wá lógún. Thank you.
Can we put our hands together for Her Excellency, please?
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I said earlier that history will be made here today, and indeed we are setting it up already. Her Excellency, the wife of a governor of Lagos State, made us understand that 17 years ago, Her Excellency, the most distinguished senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, started something very formidable in Lagos State. And it has yielded so many dividends. And one of that dividend that we're going to enjoy today is having the first ever anthem of the Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials, Cowsol. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this woman who loves women and loves children, but more importantly, she loves her husband silly, said we must do something that will make women in Lagos State be in the forefront in Nigeria. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to urge you to please relax, listen attentively, learn, and run with this, even not for the next 365 days, but all the days of your life, because history is about to be unveiled.
We are one, we are Cowsol, and we stand by our husbands. We are the mothers of the land. We will build with our hands a Lagos filled with greatness. We are strong, we are Cowsol.
you believe strongly in that message, can you put your hands together again for this once? The 2017 National Women Conference organized by the Committee of Wives of Lagos State officials will forever be noted for historical things. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, present the Inspirational Woman of the Year. Engineer Sandra Agwebo, MPOM, MFR, the first lady mechanic in Nigeria, hails from Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria. Sandra's first employment was with the Bendel Transport Service, now Edo Line, 28 years ago in Benin City. Sandra's first garage, a makeshift structure covered with cardboard papers to protect her from sunshine as a swampy land, was the first structure located behind the old Federal Secretariat, Ikoyi, now known as Abacha Estate. In the year 2004, she founded the Lady Mechanic Initiative, a non-governmental organization that empowers vulnerable girls, women with mechanical and technical skills in the automotive industry in order to rescue more women from poverty and hopelessness. Sandra, the first lady mechanic in Nigeria, says she will be fulfilled when the Lady Mechanic Initiative, as well as members of the Association of Lady Automobile Technicians of Nigeria, begins manufacturing of vehicles and vehicle spare parts right here in Nigeria. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Inspirational Woman 2017, Engineer Sandra Agwebo, the first lady mechanic in Nigeria.
And to present the award, I'd like to invite most respectfully the mother of the day, Her Excellency, the wife of the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Her Excellency Mrs. Dolapo Oshibajo. Of course, the Governor of Lagos State, Governor Akinwumi Ambode, His Excellency Governor Udom, His Excellency the wife of the Governor of Lagos State. Please, could you join in presenting the award?
On behalf of Cowsol, I present to you the Inspirational Woman Award. I present it to Engineer Sandra Agwebo, the lady mechanic, for your outstanding and unparalleled contributions in the empowerment of young women in auto mechanic works on this 24th day of October 2017.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Of course, her governor is also there with her, Governor Obaseki from Edo State. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, he was chosen among very many people. He was called to serve this great nation and indeed the people of Lagos. I make bold to say he has remained faithful to this call. Please welcome a faithful gentleman, a hardworking gentleman, a determined gentleman, a lover of Lagos, a lover of Nigeria, God-fearing, a man with the excellent spirit, His Excellency, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode.
Please be seated, please. Your Excellency, the wife of the Vice President, Your Excellency, the special guest of honor, the Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Your Excellencies, Governors of Edo, Bayelsa, Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Lagos State, the Chairperson of Cowsol, my darling wife, Her Excellency, Mrs. Bolanle Ambode, Your Excellencies, the wives of governors here present, my Lord Chief Judge of Lagos State, Your Excellencies, the former Deputy Governors here present, the wives of former governors of Lagos State here present, members of the State House of Assembly, members of the State Executive Council here present, body of permanent secretaries, chairmen of local governments, Your Royal Majesties, most especially the Oba of Lagos, all the chiefs here present, executive committee members and members of Cowsol, the awardees, the sponsors and participants, distinguished guests, gentlemen of the press. Exactly 1 year ago, we gathered here for the opening ceremony of the 16th edition of this conference. I'm delighted to join the executive and members of Cowsol, our distinguished guests, and all participants for this 17th edition. On behalf of Cowsol and the people of Lagos State, I say a warm welcome to Her Excellency, Mrs. Dolapo Osinbajo, wife of the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I also welcome my dear brothers, the governors here present. I say a special thank you for gracing this opening ceremony and also honoring our invitation. Every year, when I look forward to coming to this conference, I'm excited about the interesting topics that normally comes up in this conference. If you recall, in 2015, the theme was relevance in economic turbulence. Last year, it was strong family, strong nation. This year, she creates, she transforms. The trajectory of these conference themes is a pointer to the strategic thinking of the people behind this conference. In 2015, when the nation was faced with harsh economic recession, the conference deliberated on how women could be relevant and support their families and the nation. Last year, the conference focused on the smallest unit of the society, the family, and how we could strengthen the nation by strengthening the family. This year, the focus is on enterprising women. The same woman who was relevant in economic turbulence, the woman who is the bond that holds the strong family and the nation together, the woman who creates and transforms. She creates, she transforms, paints the picture of our everyday hardworking Nigerian women. Whether the housewife, the artisan, corporate woman in the office, or an entrepreneur, in their different spheres, our women are naturally gifted with skills and talents that make positive difference in the society. Our women are constantly creative, making something out of nothing. Creativity has become very essential to succeed in today's world because we face new challenges every day, at home and at work. As the woman creates and transforms, she positively impacts the family, the workplace, and the nation. Aside celebrating the resilient and dynamic nature of our women under diverse situations, I've been told that there will be a lot of discussions around entrepreneurship, skill acquisition, agriculture, and MSMEs. The conference seeks to unleash the creative and transformative energies of more women, and I look forward to hearing the resolutions at the end of the conference. With the female population in our country today, it is very clear that our women have the capacity to positively affect the Nigerian economy and are already doing so. What is required is a deliberate and articulated policy to support our female entrepreneurs. And from my experience, female entrepreneurs are outstanding business people who are very creative and hardworking. If you want a job done properly and delivered on time, give it to a woman. Most likely a Cowsol member. We remain committed to supporting female entrepreneurs. We have, through the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, funded many female-run MSCs. I can tell you, as of September, 2,613 female entrepreneurs have received a cumulative sum of 2.1 billion from the Employment Trust Fund. 42% of the total loans disbursed, but our target is to ensure that at least 60% of the loans are given to women. I encourage our women to approach the Employment Trust Fund and also take advantage of the many initiatives from our Ministries of Wealth Creation and Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. Supporting women businesses should no longer be seen as a social support or empowerment, but as a necessary step to revive and improve the economy. I congratulate Sandra Agwebo, this year's winner of the Inspirational Woman Award. She has dared to succeed in an area that everyone will regard as the sole reserve of men. She has created and transformed in an area where you will not usually find women. I salute your courage and resilience. You are a worthy role model, and I urge all young women to emulate her and see no barriers to achieving their dreams and aspirations. I want to personally commend the First Lady. She says so much good things about me. I don't want to retaliate yet. I just want to say a big thank you to you for not only keeping the Cowsol vision alive, but also improving the quality of the conference every year. I know how much effort you have put into this, and I am not surprised about the outcome every year. Thank you and well done. On behalf of the government of Lagos State, I wish to thank all the executives and members of Cowsol, all our distinguished speakers and participants, and I wish you all a very successful conference. God bless you.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is time to also hear from another great man, a governor who has not left anyone in doubt as to his mission of translating his campaign promises to affect lives, thereby ensuring the government is seen as a force for good. A man who has achieved unprecedented accomplishment. A man who leads the land of promise. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please can we appreciate as a welcome to the microphone the Governor of Akwa Ibom State, His Excellency Udom Emmanuel.
Your Excellency, the wife of the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Mrs. ONABANJO, Your Excellency, my brother, the Governor of Lagos State, Center of Excellence. You know, I keep telling people that if you follow the economic trend, you know where money is created and where money is shared. If you want to create money, come to Lagos. When you want to share money, go to Abuja. Let me specially recognize other brother governors of mine, my countryman, the Bayelsa State Governor, and my fellow countryman, the Edo State Governor, while especially recognizing our excellencies, especially the owner of this program, and the matron, Her Excellency, Mrs. Ambode, alongside all other First Ladies that are here. I welcome all of them. First Ladies of Oyo, Shun Delta, Ondo, Abia, so many, Edo, Kwara, Enugu, and all of them that are here. Let me specially recognize the Honorable Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly. And I've seen right beside me the Deputy Governor of Lagos State, our sister, the SSG, all the former First Ladies here present, Your Excellencies, all the former Deputy Governors here present, the Secretary to the State Government, the Oba of Lagos, Kabiyesi, members of the Lagos State Executive Council, bodies of Permanent Secretary, Chairman of Local Government here present, and all the female leaders in this country who are here, women of note. Let me cut short the protocol because I'm given a very short time. Ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen of the press, I first of all bring greetings from my people, especially my dear wife, the First Lady of Akwa Ibom State, into this conference of National Women's Conference of Wives of Lagos State Officials. She sends her regards, as well as all good women, government, and people of Akwa Ibom State. I'm greatly honored to join with you today in the celebration of the 17th edition of this great conference. I want to say that this is undoubtedly a major milestone. I was sharing what we're experiencing here today with my fellow governors, and we could not stop but to commend Her Excellency, Mrs. Bolanle Ambode, and other distinguished members of Cowsol for keeping this dream alive. While I was speaking, the chairman, PDP Governors Forum, walked in. Mr. Ayodele Fayoshe Oshokomole. He wants me to add the other title. I'm not going to add it today. Well, while he's busy exchanging pleasantries, Chairman, it's okay, your governor is speaking. Chairman, I hope you don't want me to impeach you. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Your Excellencies, let me say this, that I will appreciate if we can actually turn this and let it be a solemn occasion where to pause and look back at the parts of Cowsol as beaten in the past 17 years. Let this also be a time to pay tribute to the founders of this great idea and consider how Cowsol has kept faith with their vision and ideals over the past 17 years. I want to say, let this be a moment to also look forward and reflect on the rivers we still need to cross as a body. As a Christian, I see a lot of promise in the number. When I was told that this is the 17th anniversary, I could see a lot of promise in the number 17. And this could go in line with the challenges. The number symbolizes, number one, overcoming the enemy. Number two, complete victory. And I want to say, even if you checked, it was on the 17th of the second Hebrew month that Noah's flood began. The ark rested also on the mountains on the 17th of the 7th month. If you also go to the 13th chapter of the book, especially this where I'm driving at, in 1 Corinthians has 17 mentions of the word love. And in the 17th mention states that the greatest of these is love. And this is what our women represents. The vessel that contains the greatest love in God's green earth is the woman. When God wanted to use an apt comparative analogy to explain his love for us, mankind, he used the woman and posed a rhetorical question. He said, can a woman forget her child? He went ahead to say, even if she can be forgetful, he, God, will never forget us. The highest kind of love on earth dwells in a woman's heart. That's what we found out. So celebrating women shouldn't be an event, but a habit. We must celebrate women not as an event, but as a habit. Women's rights are God-given and inviolate and should not be granted as tokens by the society. This is why in my own state, we have free medical care for pregnant women in my state. This is the least we can do because it is through them that we have the next generation. The man may be the head of the house, but let me tell you something. The wife is the neck that enables the head to turn. I know the world is bedeviled with inequalities. Some of these include racial inequality, tribal inequality, and especially the most talked about is the gender inequality. Women have moved from the kitchen to boardrooms these days, we've seen that, and to positions of influence in our society. But there are still many doors which this country needs to open to our women. Like Booker Washington said, you cannot hold somebody down without staying down with that person. Therefore, women liberation is men liberation. Men and women are tied in a single garment of destiny. So there's nothing, again, like those, pronouncement of inequalities, especially in terms of gender. Let me come back to today. The theme of this celebration to me is apt. She creates, she transforms. How do women create and transform? That should be the question. I remember a sociology professor asked students to study 200 wayward boys in a Baltimore slum and predict their future. The study predicted that 90% of the boys would end up in jail. 25 years later, another professor saw the research and asked his class to find out what became of those boys that they said 90% of them will end up in jail. They located 190 of them out of the 200, and only 4 went to jail. The rest were prominent citizens in the society. The professor carried them to find out what turned those boys around. They said it was Mrs. Sheila O'Rourke, a teacher. The professor contacted Mrs. Sheila to find out what she did. She shrugged off and said, I did nothing to these boys. I just loved those boys. With love, she created stars out of scars. With love, she transformed criminals into heroes. With love, she created and transformed. So that is what I see today. With when you say she creates and she transforms, with love and in our women, she can actually create and transform. So let us follow her example. Like that icon of mercy, Mother Teresa said, spread love everywhere you go. Let no one ever come to you without leaving you happier. And that's always what women stand for. Therefore, do not look at the limiting lines drawn by history or politics. Women, live your lives, cross the lines, live your lives creating and transforming. This is all that we are here to look into. Let me end this, my goodwill message, with a short story. A man went to a flower shop to buy flowers and send them by courier to his mother, who lived about 200 miles away from him. He noticed a young woman on the pavement crying. He walked to this young woman and asked, he said, woman, what's the matter? She told him that she wanted to buy rose flowers for her mother, but she could not afford them. He took her inside and bought flowers for her. After buying flowers, they left the shop. He offered to drive the young woman to meet her mother, because seeing the passion, the way she was crying, that she wanted to buy rose flowers for her mother, but she could not afford. So he decided to take this young woman to meet her mother and give her the flowers. She agreed. Funny enough, what happened was, immediately she entered the car, she directed this man to a cemetery where she placed the flowers in a newly dug grave of her mother. The man, with tears in his eyes, changed his mind. He said, rather than sending the flowers to her own mother, who is still alive, by courier, rather, he drove the 200 miles himself to go and personally give his mother the flower. So with that, I came here today, not only you, but as my mother, my wife, my daughters, and all women of Akwa Ibom. That is why I covered over hundreds of thousands of miles to bring you flowers of goodwill, to you personally in this occasion, and to urge you to keep this dream alive. After 17 years, accept the love and goodwill of the good people of Akwa Ibom State. God bless all women. God bless you for this great occasion. Thank you, and God bless you all.
For his goodwill and flowers all the way from Akwa Ibom. I think we can do better than this. Please put your hands together most resoundingly for His Excellency, the Governor of Akwa Ibom State. Please, I crave your indulgence. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to deliver the flowers personally to the women here today, and maybe the men. That's if he chooses to do so. I invite, at this point in time, to have the Lagos Women Hospitality. We greet men and women, especially in Lagos. And we're going to do it the Lagos style. By the powers conferred on me as the compere, I invite His Excellency, the Governor of Akwa Ibom, His Excellency, the Governor of Bayelsa State, His Excellency, the Governor of Ekiti State, to be chaired at this session by the Governor of Lagos State, Governor General. Please could you all rise and join the women here in a warm greeting of how are you. Women, are we going to welcome them specially? Lagos women, can I see you? Edo State Governor, please, you are going to join us, Governor Obaseki. We will not leave you behind. Please, can we be upstanding, all women, as we welcome Governor General of Nigeria, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode, Governor Udom of Akwa Ibom State, Governor Dixon of Bayelsa State, Governor Obaseki of Edo State, and Governor Ayodele Fayose of Ekiti State. So please come and greet us. We are welcoming them. Please put your hands together as they step forward now.
The great women of Lagos State and Nigeria, we greet you all. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for this opportunity. And we'll just use like 1 minute each to deliver our goodwill messages on behalf of our states and on behalf of the women of our country. I was just telling a colleague while we were walking down that I know one thing for sure, that I was sent here by my wife. I was sent here by my wife to represent her. And just before I finished saying that, my colleague also from Edo concurred and said his wife is on her way, but that she sent him also to be here. And I read in the program how my good brother, the hardworking and brilliant governor of Akwa Ibom State, readily accepted to be a special guest. What you don't know is that it was his wife who commanded him to accept it. All I'm saying is that in the end, you, the great women of Lagos State, great women of Nigeria, great women of our world, you are actually in charge of this show. You are in charge. When I get back home, I intend to report to my wife who sent me that one of the good things I've seen in this great Lagos State Center of Excellence started in a tradition started 17 years ago, which Mrs. Ambode is doing so well to preserve. And I think she especially needs a round of applause. She's doing so well preserving that. I'll report to my wife that I've seen one thing from Lagos, it's one good thing from Lagos that needs to go round. And Mrs. Ambode should expect an invitation to be at the first Bayelsa conference of wives of officials, of Bayelsa government officials. My brother talked about the aptness of your theme, which is she creates, she transforms. That says everything about womanhood and the great work that you, the women all over the world, are doing. You give a woman money, she gives you food. She turns it. You give her a building, ordinary building, she makes it a home for you. I mean, without you, the women of our world, how else can life go on? After all, the world got transformed when God created Eve, the first woman. It was when he created Eve, then transformation started, and we're where we are. So I bring you greetings and congratulations. Thank you very much, and may God continue to bless all of you and the good work you are doing. God bless you all.
Your Excellency, the wife of the Vice President, Mr. Shibajo, Your Excellencies, Your Highnesses, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I believe that I am the only governor who was here last year that is here today. This was the first event I attended after I won my elections last year. So for me, I am part of you, and this event is part of me. Because I believe that what you are doing, particularly leveraging on an idea that was started by a foresighted First Lady in Lagos State, that continuity is what you are seeing in the development around you in Lagos State. And many of us who admire you in Lagos are stealing your ideas to make our own states better. We're not just copying, we're also stealing some ideas. And as you see, my brother from Bayelsa has just stolen this idea. So you are doing something really great. I also want to thank you for acknowledging and recognizing one of our own in Edo State, the lady mechanic. For us, she is a symbol of inspiration for womanhood. We saw her creating And we got her into Government House to transform lives. And that is what she's doing. Once again, I want to congratulate our First Lady of Lagos State for this grand initiative and to assure you that we'll continue to support you, and by the grace of God, next year we'll be here with you. Congratulations.
The presidential last one. This is not campaign, no. This is not presidential campaign.
Your Excellency, the wife of the Vice President, let me stand on all existing protocols and convey good wishes from the good people of Ekiti, particularly my wife, who has asked me to tell you that she will be in Calabar but cannot make it here today. But because I'm in Lagos, I want to admit that I'm standing in for her too. There is nothing too much to make confessions. I want to appreciate God for the governor of Lagos State and the good people of Lagos State. They've not been inviting me. Now that they have been inviting me in and out of office. In and out of office, I will always be here to be part of this great event. Let me close by saying this. A life without women will be full of crisis. Will be hopeless. If you put women on the driver's seat, this country will turn around. Consciously, we must make effort to develop women. Consciously. When we conduct elections into local government, I make it a principle that women, if you score 40%, men 60%, the lady will win. So we must adopt this all over to encourage women, because the problem is not the women, but the men who believe that women should be second fiddle. But I'm sure Governor Ambode is turning things around to make life better for women. Once again, I congratulate you and assure you I and others will always be here. Congratulations. Thank you. No, I'm not campaigning today. Next time.
Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor and privilege to invite for a keynote address at today's event, the mother of the day, the wife of the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a woman that epitomizes womanhood, Her Excellency, Mrs. Dolapo Oshibaju.
Your Excellency, Dr. Akinwumi Ambode, the Executive Governor of Lagos State, the Chief Host and Patron of Cowsol, and his lovely wife, Her Excellency, Mrs. Bolanle Ambode. Your Excellency, Mr. Emmanuel Udom, the Executive Governor of Akwa Ibom State, and special guest of honor. Your Excellency, the Governor of Bayelsa State, Your Excellency, the Governor of Edo State, Your Excellency, the Governor of Ekiti State, Excellencies, wives of governors here present, Your Excellency, Dr. Oluranti Adebule, Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Your Excellency, the former Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Princess Sarah Ashosan, members of the National Assembly present, members of Lagos State House of Assembly present, His Royal Highness Oba Rilwan Akinolu, the Oba of Lagos, and other white cap chiefs, the National Women Leader, Southwest APC, Chief Mrs. Kemi Nelson, the executives and members of Cowsol, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen of the press. Ìtẹ̀síwájú ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó. Congratulations to Cowsol, the Committee of Wives of Lagos State officials, on this year's conference. Her Excellency Mrs. Bolanle Ambode, the Chairman of Cowsol, and His Excellency, the Chief Host and Patron of Cowsol. Her Excellency Mrs. Aisha Buhari, the wife of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, sends her greetings to you in Lagos today. I should have captured her big smile in a picture to show you when I told her I was coming to Lagos for Cowsol. So she sends you a greeting and also a big smile. I wish to thank you for your kind invitation to She Creates, She Transforms. I am honored to be here and glad to have the privilege of addressing this great conference. Looking around this hall this morning, I see beauty, strength, I see energy of the participants of Cowsol 2017. When women gather, something special happens. It is extra special when men join in the gathering of women. To have so many of our governors present is an indication that this is going to be a most unusual meeting indeed. Cowsol has stood the test of time. Since its inception, it has grown in leaps and bounds and has really come into its own. I salute the convener and the organizing committee for what must have been many hours, many days of hard work to put this event together. As we appreciate the work done today, it is important to look back and give honor to whom honor is due, to remember the pioneers of this work, our mothers that started it and handed it down from one season to another, handing down the baton, teaching each successive group to take care of the vision, keep it, grow it, and faithfully hand it to those in the next season. Look behind you. Strong and visionary women did great things. Look ahead of you. The next generation is waiting for you to teach them and to train them. They watch to see how you create things that are of worth and transform all things to make it good, creating a better world than the one you met. They are just waiting to copy you. Those who went before are season 1. Today we are season 2, and the ones following after us are season 3. The theme, She Creates, She Transforms, is most fitting at this time. This theme portrays our women as active and not dull. Do not believe what they say about us. Our women, they create, they transform, they are enterprising, they are not lazy. She Creates, She Transforms assures us that our women have an impact on their environment, on their world, and they have a say, they have a voice, and their voice will be heard. As the different speakers come to teach, to instruct, and inspire, there is a potential that this will be a turning point in the lives of many who attend, which will translate to a transformation for the better in our homes, offices, and communities. The theme song we have heard has indeed set the tone for this movement, this upward call to do better, go higher, work harder, shine brighter in unity, peace, and progress. Some may imagine that these are just mere words, but they are wrong. From the moment I heard the song, when Her Excellency Mrs. Ambode shared it with me, I knew this was something special. It is a call to join forces to make things better. You are here today because you have heeded that call to enlist in the group of those who are determined to make a difference, to create, to transform. I congratulate the Council members for inviting all to this call to enlist as change agents. I remember many years ago when Her Excellency Senator Oluremi Tinubu, the then First Lady of Lagos State, took up the challenge to resuscitate Cowsol. My husband was the Attorney General of Lagos State at that time. I remember she had an old pamphlet of a Cowsol event held many years before. As she spoke to us, wives of the officials of Lagos State, about the importance of reviving and running with the vision of Cowsol. I remember so vividly a retreat we held at Akodo, the beach resort, where she encouraged me to speak out. I was so anxious and reluctant. But till today, I remember what I said. If we each do a little, we can do a lot. And of course, public speaking got easier for me after that first time. I would like the representative of Her Excellency Senator Mrs. Tinubu to give her the message that from that day till now, I'm still speaking, and I thank her for her encouragement. It is important for me to share with you the need for us as we move forward to look back to see where we're coming from, to see what stuff we're made of, to know what we're capable of. As we honor Her Excellency Mrs. Johnson of blessed memory, who started this work, bequeathing a legacy of service and impact on the wives of the officials of Lagos State. Let us look at others too, our mothers, our Nigerian heroines, just so we know where we came from, so we know what we are made of. What our mothers handed over to us, what we carried carefully, faithfully, and also hand over to those who are to come after us. This is like an inheritance of good works, of unity and impact. You must not be left behind. You must lay hold of this legacy today. Show me your mothers. Show me where you came from, that I may be assured that you are one of those who create and transform. Strong, determined, hardworking, ready, willing and able to do your part and to make a difference in your world. You cannot disappoint. The mothers have shown us the way, handed down to us this strength and dignity and grace. We must continue. We must create and transform for the better our homes, our offices, our community, our nation, our world. Look at her. She's a Nigerian woman. She creates, she transforms. Nigerian women from the ages past have proven themselves to be capable of making an impact. Nigerian women have gone to war. They've become generals, outstanding in writing, in medicine, in the arts, and they can be found in every field. From ages past till today, Nigerian women create and transform. You cannot afford to be left behind. As our mothers used to tell us, let me remind us of where we came from. Lady Kofoworola Aino Ademola was born in 1913. She was the daughter of Eric Moore, a lawyer. She's the first African woman to be admitted to the prestigious Oxford University in England. She's a Nigerian woman. Adetoun Ogunsheye, born in 1926, was the first African female to attend the University of Cambridge in 1949. She was a Nigerian woman. From Flora Nwapa to Chimamanda, Nigerian women, acclaimed novelists, to tales of Nana Asmao, who lived from 1794 to 1865, the daughter of Uthman Danfodio, who was a poet, a scholar, educated, respected in ages past. She was a Nigerian woman. Mrs. Fumilayo Ransom Kuti, the first woman to drive a car in Nigeria. Nigerian women, charting the way, strong, determined, hardworking, and bright. We must mention Mrs. Toyin Olakunri, the first female chartered accountant in Nigeria, who is also the first female chartered accountant in Nigeria, in Africa. Mrs. Folake Sholanke, the first lady SAN. Many do not know of Abimbola Awoliyi, born in Lagos in 1911, a medical doctor, the then Iya Abiye of Lagos. She was the first female medical doctor to practice in Nigeria. Dr. Elizabeth Abimbola Awoliyi Niakerele attended Queen's College in Lagos soon after its inception. She went to the UK to study medicine at the age of 18. She graduated in 1935. She goes on to study further to become a gynecologist. Another Nigerian woman, Yewande Savage, in 1929, was the first Nigerian woman to study medicine. But the first to practice medicine in Nigeria was Dr. Abimbola, and she did so famously at the Massey Street Dispensary, as it was known then, now Massey Street Hospital, where she rose to be the chief consultant and medical director. Ranti Omoeniti was she. This is where we've come from. This is who we are. We're Nigerian women. Their stories can be found in history books, but there are women whose stories are not found in history books. Their stories are written in our hearts. The women who sold pap, egusi, akara, ankara, and akara. And through this, they sent their children to school, all the way to university. The women who wove mats, fried gari, farmed, that their children and families may have a better life. Their names are not known. They're not written in books, but they are the mothers who went before. They showed us how to be strong. This is who we are. This is what we are made of. We know how to create and transform. I am sure we have all heard of a woman or two who sold her jewelry or sold her clothes to take care of her family. Women eat last when all have been fed. Sleep last when all are settled at home. Women hardly take care of themselves as they are so busy taking care of everyone else. This is what we are made of. This is our inheritance as Nigerian women. I've come to announce to you, you cannot escape it. Breathe in and out. You're a Nigerian woman. Sit up straight. Adjust your shoulders. Smile. Hold your head up high. You're a Nigerian woman. Announce to those that are around you, I am a Nigerian woman. I'm a queen. My sons are princes. My daughters are princesses. And yes, my husband is a king. Yes, I am a queen. I'm a Nigerian queen. Did you hear of the story of one of the Nigerian women of today? Another Abimbola Jayeola. She's doing us proud. She has made a name for herself as the first Nigerian female helicopter pilot. I'm sure you must have heard that Captain Abimbola Jayeola was commended early in 2016 for averting a great disaster as she courageously landed a helicopter she was flying that was in distress. She landed it safely. Already we have seen the First Lady mechanic also. She is a Nigerian queen too. So let us create what is honorable and dignified. Let us transform all things for good. Let's watch over what we create to keep the spoiler away. We need you, Nigerian women, Nigerian queens. We are looking for those who will create a safe society, free from harm and danger. We need you, the Nigerian queen. Those who will transform our society for good, transform our choices for good. Look at what has been placed in your hands. The whole nation is in your hands. You are the Nigerian queens. The hands that rock the cradle rule the world. In your hands are the princes and the princesses of the land. You carry them for 9 months and nurture them for many more years. They are in your hands to create in them the right values to transform them into royalty, to tell them they cannot speak anyhow, they cannot behave anyhow, they are royalty, to tell them what they are made of, where they came from, to transform them into greatness. They are in your hands. The whole nation is in your hands. Let us see the work of your hands. Nigerian queen, businesswoman, professional trader, manufacturer, that's who you are. Create and transform in your own chosen field and profession. Look straight ahead and march purposely forward. You can do it. Many are waiting for you. You are the pioneer, the CEO, the matriarch, the employer of labor, the helper of the helpless, the defender of the weak, the encourager of the downcast. What are you waiting for, Nigerian queen? You must create and transform. You must leave your footprints in the sands of time, just as those who went before you. It is time to go and do it. You must. It's now. It's time. Create and transform. She creates, she transforms is not a joke. We must hear your voice. We must see the work of your hands. Speak out against rape and every form of abuse of women and children. Let us hear your voice. Speak up for those who are oppressed, the poor, the needy. Let us hear your voice. When the Nigerian princes and princesses are under attack, let out a shout to defend them. Let us hear your voice. And remember, when things are done right, do not be quiet, speak up. When our children do well, speak up. If you have seen good in our land, speak up. Let all hear your voice as you love Nigeria with all your strength. Speak up to defend her unity. Speak up to uphold her honor and glory. Nigerian queen, daughter, sister, mother, friend, create and transform. We need you. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, all other governors here seated. Your Excellency, Dr. Idiat Oluranti Adebule, Deputy Governor of Lagos State. Your Excellency, Mrs. Bolanle Ambode, wife of the Governor of Lagos State, and the Chairman of the Committee of Wives of Lagos State officials, Cowsol. Your Excellencies, wives of other governors here present, permit me to extend courtesies to all other distinguished guests and participants. It's been a year we were here last, and it is our esteemed pleasure to have you attend this 17th National Women's Conference organized by the Committee of Wives of Lagos State officials. We dreamt, we planned, you came. We are thrilled that you did. We deliberately set out to outperform last year by focusing on areas that are relevant to your needs and expectations. Our participants, your enthusiasm keeps us on our toes, keeps us thinking, how can we do it better? And what can we do to make it better than last year, to improve on what we have done? It is our desire that the annual Women's Conference will continue to be a learning experience where new ideas and issues and topics that resonate with each and every one of you can be addressed and discussed in practical ways that for your benefit. We look forward to very valuable feedbacks from you so that we can continue to improve on what we do. To our wonderful donors, that time will not permit me to mention one by one, but are all listed at the back of our conference materials. We cannot thank you enough for your annual support. May you continue to prosper in your business and in life. To the management and staff of Hotels and Suites, you're simply amazing. Thank you. On behalf of the Planning Committee, I express my profound gratitude and appreciation to our Mother of the Day, Her Excellency, Mrs. Dolapo Shibajo, wife of the Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Our special guest of honor, His Excellency, Mr. Udom Gabriel. Our amiable Governor General, His Excellency, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode. Thank you so much, sir, for your support. All other governors here present, we appreciate you for coming, sirs. Dr. Idiat Adebule, we thank you, ma. The members of the Lagos State House of Assembly, we are grateful for your presence. Every member of the ESCO, thank you for coming. Heads of permanent and body of permanent secretaries and head of service. The Oba of Lagos, we are grateful, sir, for your presence. Our invited speakers, our chairpersons of sessions, all participants, the media, and the security. We thank you for being part of this year's conference. It's my ultimate honor to serve as the chair of the planning committee for the 17th Annual Women's Conference. May you find peace and joy in your life and in whatever you do in the coming year. As we leave this hall, let us continue to support and encourage our women to create, because they will surely transform our homes and our communities. Remember, for impactful transformation, it is one woman at a time.
It's indeed an honor to be here in our midst this afternoon. When I got the first call inviting me to speak to this event, I honestly had to confess that I didn't know that the organization had been that old and that the meetings were still holding, and I was a bit wild that Her Excellency would think of this farm girl to come and speak at this laudable event. And I do want to say thank you very much, ma'am, for bringing me up here. The theme, I have to say, is very apt, because for me, I strongly believe that our role as women is truly around building a better world. Over the years, the roles of women have been strongly underrepresented and underemphasized in society. Thank you. Women have contributed significantly to the transformation of societies, and even though our contribution has been underrepresented, a time has come again for us to actually take our place of pride in moving things forward. Nigeria, as it stands in 2017, finds itself in a very unique moment with peculiar realities, where we have, over the years, depended on a monoproduct economy. But you see, for me, it's not all doom. I see every challenge that our country faces or has faced in recent past as an opportunity for women to actually shine and leverage, especially in developing the economic landscape of our country. Women, there is no family that is complete without the soft touch of a wife, a daughter, a sister, or a mother. Women daily ride in their individual gifts and passion, and we add color and brilliance to the world. If you had packed this hall filled with men today, we would have had them in grays and dark colors. But because we're women, we bring color to the world, and that's why I see in this hall this afternoon. We must therefore imbibe this spirit and this disposition to seek to make the positive change in our society. I usually say to younger ladies and older friends of mine that the time for us to stop competing with one another is now, because we are unique individuals. We all carry different gifts, and we all need to bring them to bear to make the world a better place. We really do live in a complex world, and we need to come to terms with that. There's so much asking for our attention as women. We're involved in so many things, and like never before in the history of humanity, women have become a lot more self-aware. The world around us provides us with a lot of opportunities that we must embrace. We must begin to leverage our education, the opportunity around information and technology, to network and grow and harness every role that we find ourselves occupying. You know, it's very intriguing to know that for us as women, there's a constant fight for perfection. as a wife, as a mother, as a daughter, as an employee, and like I like to say sometimes, as a boss lady. What I have found over time is that women are deep thinkers, and deeper than, I like to say that we're stronger than we think and stronger than we envisage most times. I read an article recently and I found it very fascinating, and I thought I wanted to share with us. The study says that women, because women our brains go across the hemisphere, women actually process information both logically and emotionally. Our male counterparts would usually say to us that we're very emotional. I am pleased to announce to you that when I read this article, it's clearly noted that women are both logical and emotional, and that with our logical side, we add, though some of us are logical, but the added dimension of our emotions give us the greater insight and understanding to situations. And women can achieve a lot more, deeper things through understanding of a problem or situation, and therefore work with a team of people to come up with a better solution. This, for me, I felt was very powerful. And this is a skill that we need to bring to bear in our daily lives as women. We are natural transformers, and our assignment here on earth is very clear. And I think the time for us to get into our natural role that creation has given to us is now. In history, we have been portrayed as devoted, untiring nurturers of our land. We have often juggled multiple roles as food producers, providers, health guardians, and economic actors and caregivers. This brings me to a very interesting part of my speech. When the chair of the session introduced me, she said I like to be announced or described as a farmer. But I have a question. When we think of who a farmer is in conventional terms, what picture comes to mind? Are we together? My slides, okay. The technical team, please, I need, okay. No. Yes, the next slide, please. Does this describe the thought of the farmers that we know? Women of Nigeria, does this describe the normal farmers that we know? Thank you. You probably will not think or imagine people like myself who will graduate from university as college graduates, and hundreds of other progressives like myself, and urban-looking women who are today going into this unique space where I currently occupy to work and invest in a heavily male-dominated sector, like the agricultural sector. I want to take you on a journey. Next slide. Yes. Our economic realities have been covered with the illusion of high oil price. The easy money made it painless for us at some point to even waste public resources, and it curbed innovation, and it made most of us lazy. Now the tide is out, and we can see that we're stark naked and we're running for cover. Nigeria has over the years relied deeply on a monoproduct, and we have thought that Nigeria was a very rich country. But if we share some of our annual revenues, my understanding is that the per capita, the resource that will be given per capita will probably not be more than 47,965 naira per person. So let's put this in perspective. Perhaps we're not as rich as we assume through oil. Perhaps the time has come for us to build our economy on something that is more sustainable. I used to crack a joke before. Next slide. No, you need to go back 2 slides. 1 slide. When I said, forward please. No, the picture slide, thank you. Yes. I'm deliberately using these pictures to illustrate the new cadre of young women who are in the ag sector. The lady on the left is Angel Adelaja, and I'm immensely proud of her. I mean, she runs 3 businesses. She's a serial entrepreneur, but I know that she's extremely passionate about agriculture. She actually runs what we call the container farms. Her farm operation is run out of our regular 20-40 foot containers. She grows vegetables, fresh vegetables. Angel's turnover is growing because she's catering for home users and hotels who want fresh vegetable produce that are organic and are safe. The other young lady is one of the beneficiaries of the UWIN Award, and she started her business with a grant that she got from the government, and it is growing. I like to impress you that a lot more women are beginning to embrace the agricultural sector. And I believe that this is a sector that, as we build our economy and as we build our nation, women need to look into, because it's easy for us to all position ourselves across the value chain, either as primary producers, processors, input suppliers, and again, another aspect that people are not even looking into is storage of agricultural produce. Many of us may not know that we can invest in warehousing and storage as a service that we can provide for people in the ag sector. Logistics service provision is another aspect where women can conveniently run a business or an enterprise in the ag space. Farmers in the rural communities produce, but a lot of times they do not have facility or infrastructure to bring their produce to market. Many of us can begin to invest in refrigerated trucks, in regular haulage vans that can help those in the rural communities bring their produce to the urban centers where they can get patronage. Most of us can begin to invest in cold storage facilities even within those rural settings where produce can be stored and the shelf life of our commodities extended. I believe that women can become commercial agents and buyers of produce, and we can provide that market linkage that the producers require for getting their produce into the hands of the consumers. It is time for us to use our innate abilities as women to make a difference. Let's break out from the cultural and social limitations and build businesses from nothing and trade on the currency of our talents, and through it, bag global recognition. The present economic situation presents for us sizable challenges, but I dare say these are opportunities that women can embark on. Over the years, Nigeria has had women trailblazers. I was glad to hear the wife of the vice president reel out some of the names, but I would love to share some of my favorite women. Tara Fela Durotoye has built an empire in the makeup and cosmetic industry. Ayodeji Mebokwe is the CEO of No Leftovers, and she started her business making moi moi, and it has grown. I love my fellow young lady Linda Ikeji, who has built a blogging business for herself. Uche Pedro is the founder of Bella Naija, we all know. Mrs. Nike Akonde, you all know about her. Chimamanda Adichie. Ola Orekunrin Brown is the flying doctor who runs an air mobile ambulance service to Medivac people to get proper health care, timely health care. Mrs. Mobola Johnson was our former Minister of Information Communications Technology. My dear Auntie Mo Abudu is the first Nigerian woman to start her own international and globally acclaimed TV station. Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika, is the chairman of First Bank. Mrs. Shola David Borha, who challenges me every day to write my book and tell my story to the world. Mrs. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Mrs. Obi Ezekwesili, our own ambassador at the UN, Mrs. Amina Ibrahim, Mrs. Mosumola Bello Olushoga, who is the chairman of Access Bank, and yours truly, humbly, Ms. Mosumola Umoru, the founder and CEO of Farm Shop. Each one of us have embraced our calling, and we are running with the passion and the vision to create a better world. I started my journey straight out of college. I was 24 years old when I started my business. Straight out of college, Lagos State University was where I got my first degree in zoology. Everyone thought I was crazy. I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Zoology from the Lagos State University. And everyone said I was insane, including my father. He was going to disown me. But I constantly reminded him that his own father was a cocoa farmer in Ondo State before he passed, and that he should just give me time. One day, he would read about my story, and he will have no need to disown me again. Today, my father is my biggest cheerleader. Sometimes, he calls me and says, "You didn't even mention that you'll be on TV today." He's not aware I'm in Lagos this morning. So he's going to call me again tonight that he saw me on TV and I did not announce or take him to my event. That for me is what I want to see more women embark on. Next slide. That's myself. In one of our operations, we process chickens for home consumers and women. I can proudly say that if you take my phone number, I'll be happy to deliver your next supply of chicken at your doorstep. It also gladdens my heart to let you know, next slide, that women can take on opportunities and investment opportunities in the ag sector. That's one of my favorite tools in the world. That's me driving some of my staff to the farm in the morning. Many people own a lot of Rolls Royce and Bentleys and park luxurious vehicles in their cars, in their garage. Next slide. Next slide, please. I am glad to show you my Rolls Royce. Those are my tractors. I happily drive them on the farm to till the soil, and I have shown my workers that there is nothing a woman cannot do once she is given the opportunity. And for me, I strongly believe that if all of us as women can embrace the opportunities that are around us, and invest constructively in the ag sector. I want to take a minute to digress a bit. This is something we do not talk a lot about. In the ag sector today, it may interest you to know that the tractor population in Nigeria is less than 100,000. There are different types of tractors, for example. And women cooperatives, I know that, how many women cooperatives are present in the house? If there are women groups in this room, please may I see your hands? Representative of women groups. One opportunity you can embrace is that your cooperatives and your groups can begin to invest in buying tractors and actually rendering service to rural farmers who cannot afford to buy this equipment to run their own operation. To clear 1 hectare of land, 2 years ago, up until last year, we were paying 7,500 naira per hectare for land clearing with a tractor. Today, we're paying 25,000 naira. And in most instances, you have to do 2 plowings to get the land ready. It means that there are tons of opportunities for younger ladies to become tractor owners, tractor operators, and for some of you as women to actually invest in procuring this equipment and actually running your own agribusiness. We all cannot be farmers, but we can all strategically position ourselves across the agricultural value chain, whether it's in seed production, whether it's in land preparation, whether it's in processing, whether it is in proper cultivation, planting and farming, which is the bottom of the pyramid, the primary production. And some of you can process. Some of you can even begin to look into produce buying for export. Those are the things that I thought that I should bring to bear today. It is very exciting to take you on my own journey, which began 13 years ago, straight out of college. It's been 13 interesting years for me. And please don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. I had nights and days where I woke up and I shed so many tears, like most of us will do when we're hurt or when we're in pain. By my 27th birthday, it may interest you that I was totally bankrupt. Totally. Because I processed chickens, it was not easy at the time because of the incessant cut in power supply. So I lost money. I also did not have the right skills at the time because I started my business straight out of college. So even as we plan to build businesses and build our empires, it's very important that we get requisite skill to drive any venture or enterprise we're going into. For me, I only came here to encourage as I share my life's journey. Farming has given me the biggest platforms that I could ever envision in my life. I used to think, as an undergrad, I would usually stand in the front of the TV and watch people like Joyce Meyer hold a mic and speak to audience, okay? And then I will get up after watching their show and stand in front of the TV and hold my own imaginary mic and speak to a large audience. It was there in the living room. Today, that little vision has come alive. And that's what I say, that every woman has within her the giftings and the capacity to be all that she can imagine. Can we please close our eyes for a minute? Please shut your eyes. Please shut your eyes. And think about the best things you think you can be doing with your time today. Think about the best things you could be doing with your time today if you were not here and you were given all the opportunity. And think about the problems you could be solving right now in society, the things that really bother you. As you think about those things, I want us to begin. Can we open our eyes? Those nice thoughts you have and those solutions you think you can provide may just be the next business opportunity and the next big business society is waiting for. For me, I can only charge us to be strong as we are, as God has given us the grace. My charge for us is to become solution providers, be driven by purpose, a purpose that is greater than financial profit. A good number of times we get it wrong as women because we just want to make money. We just want to be rich and famous. It's not all about money. Women are natural change agents. And the time for us to begin to reflect on that and leverage all the opportunities that we find in uplifting our societies. And together, I believe that we can build a better world, either through enterprise, governance, or being homemakers, or an employee. I can only say to us that we should each enjoy where we are on our way to where we're going. Trust me, the pasture only looks greener on the other side. When you look at the other woman, you think that she's got it all and she's better than you. You only need to ask her, sit her down and ask what her challenges are. And then you realize that we all have our challenges. We all have different strengths. We should leverage each other's strength as we move through. I like this quote, that a woman is the full circle, and within her is the power to create, nurture, and transform, by Diane Marchild. And for me, I can only say, thank you so much for listening to me. Eshe púpọ̀, Daluo, Nagode, and let's enjoy this beautiful conference as we all share with each other, knowing that the solution to the challenge you're thinking about solving may be the woman sitting next to you. Never undermine anyone, because we're all champions. And like the First Lady said, we're all elegant queens, and I celebrate you all. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am.
Fellow Nigerian queens, another round of applause for our speaker, Miss Cynthia Umoru. Thank you. We have been charged to take our number and our divine endowment to the investment world. Ladies, I know there are questions, I know there are concerns. How do we go about doing these things? Where do we go? What do we do? We have this opportunity to present our concerns. Do we have anyone with a question or questions before our speaker takes her leave? Yes, there is somebody in the middle. Can you come?
You have a lot of opportunities based on your educational background. As biochemists, today, you know, there's a lot of noise about GMOs and genetically modified seeds and organisms. We need people like you to actually spend a bit more time in our laboratories in helping us generate high fortified improved seeds and food. There's a nutrition deficiency challenge across the country. People like you can actually spend your time developing biofortified foods that can give us the needed nutrients, especially for children. So there are tons of opportunities in that aspect. One of my friends, who is a speaker in one of the panel, Ndidi Wuneli, actually does a soy maize meal. It is people like the bioscientists and the biochemists who come up with the formulation for those products. So for you, you do not necessarily need to diversify or become a farmer. You can either work in the laboratory and provide service, or you go into research and development, or you can actually take on employment with such firms and improve the recipe of their products for the market. The challenges I have faced. Okay, let's keep it real. I don't know if I can stand up. Madam Chair, may I stand? Okay. Let's be real. My challenges were on different folds. I was a fresh college graduate who had minimal or no enterprise skill. So I lost a lot of the money I started my business with. But I was fortunate enough to be consistent. And after a while, people started believing in the fact that I was true to myself and true to my calling, and I was very focused. So I was able to raise money from the banks. At some point in my journey, I have to say to you that things got so bad I had to take paid employment. Okay? And I think that that's the greatest mistake young people make. We all can't start a business. There are entrepreneurs and there will be intrapreneurs. Some of us will have to work within certain firms, and this is my favorite analogy. Every company is like the human anatomy. There is the head, there is the eye, there is the neck, there are the hands, there are the nerves that we don't see, there are the muscles, and each one of us needs to find our place. We all can't be farmers, and we all may not be able to start a business, but we all can add value. And that's why I think young people are missing it these days. You want to be a Mrs. Ibukwa Awoshika overnight. She was first a carpenter. And then she learned the ropes and she grew, honed her skills, and today she's the chair of a bank. Now, the phrase, The days of humble beginnings, do not despise. For most of us, we need to start really small and grow strong. That's very critical for us as young people. Now, the practical approach I took is that I went to a business school at some point, and it was on scholarship. I couldn't afford it. And I got a scholarship to go to business school, and I owned my entrepreneurial skills and my management skills. And that helped me better position my business for the next phase. Now, for the engineer who asked about tractors, it may interest you to know that the Federal Ministry of Agriculture has a tractor hiring scheme called the AEHE, Agricultural Equipment Hiring Enterprise, where women or entrepreneurs can actually plug in and buy tractors, whether as individuals or as cooperatives. There are two schemes. There's the one for 5 tractors, which is the one I bought 4 years ago, and there's the one for 3 tractors. Now, there's a new scheme that is coming upstream for smaller equipment like power tillers, and it will be nice for you to actually contact the state Ministry of Agriculture, because they're working in collaboration, and you can plug into those schemes as co-ops or as individuals to buy that. Now, for the woman who says that she's a fish farmer, I plead with you to go to the Lagos State Agric Development Agency in Agege. There are extension service provision out of that place that is funded by the Lagos State government. I benefited from programs that they organized at that center when I was having issues with my business in the early stage. And there are people there who can actually provide the extension service beyond, and it's really usually at no cost to you. And they will tell you to join some of the cooperatives that they identify in the state, and they will begin to help you through trainings and workshops, and it will help you improve your enterprise. When I did the PowerPoint presentation, my email address was there. Please feel free to send me an email, follow me on social media. I'm able, when I have time on my hands, I'm able to also mentor people and coach people at my free time. Thank you very much.
Can we have these 2 questions?
Oh, man.
Briefly, a minute each on the question.
On the value chain opportunities. Okay. How much? Okay, I think I've addressed the second one about how, okay, the tractor.
How much?
Okay, so tractors vary today depending on the capacity. So a 45 horsepower tractor today is between 8 million and 13 million naira. However, ladies, there's smaller tractors. We do have a young man in the country now who is manufacturing his own tractor at the Income Center in Ilorin, and his price point, and it is locally manufactured here in Nigeria, and his price point is between 3 and 4.5 million naira. And that, if you reach out to the organizers or to me, we can connect you with him, and you can place an order and you can buy. That's for the local one. But there are also companies that have smaller tractors, motorized equipment with the implements across the country. People like Dizengoff, Tata, they have some power tillers that you can buy that are under 1 million naira, between 300,000 naira to 1.8 million naira. Opportunities in the value chain that women can embark on. So there are different commodity value chain. In Lagos State, one of the closest to us as women is fish farming. Women can actually grow fish in culture. That's the catfish, like the other woman mentioned, catfish or tilapia. But beyond that, one that women are not taking a lot of advantage or opportunity of is that we can actually begin to look into prawn and other seafoods culture. We need a full technical session to go through that. But you can actually go through vegetable farming. Ewedu, shoko, tete, ugu, igbo. I'll share a testimony. I have a colleague who today is Tuesday. He has shipped every Tuesday, every month. His farm ships 7 tons, 7,000 kilos of fresh indigenous vegetables to the UK. He ships ewedu, shoko, tete, 7 tons every Tuesday on British Airways or through DHL to London. Many of us can begin to look at cultivating these indigenous vegetables, even for local consumptions for starters. Many of us can begin to package things like potatoes, because we're buying we like French fries, but most of the ones on our shelves are imported. So we can begin to process things like potatoes, carrots, and vacuum pack them and put them on the shelves of retail stores. If you're looking for business opportunities in the ag sector, go to the fresh vegetable section of the high-end retail stores like ShopRite and Spar, and you will see myriads of opportunities waiting for us to tap that are currently, their produce are currently being imported to the country. And I think for us as women, we can embrace these opportunities and move our nation forward and provide ourselves safe food. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our very own farmer, Cynthia Umoro. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, with the various opportunities that we have, especially in Lagos State, it is time for us as women to go out and take our position towards developing the world.
I would just be looking into the water, that stream, with the water hyacinths, and that gave me peace. All I just wanted then was peace of mind, like I said. So, and then, of course, with my love for animals, and I knew also that food is basically a life necessity. So I had to hearken to the voice or the saying of Frederick Hackwood, good chair of 1911, that said, man has to eat to live. And to this primary condition of life, he raises no particular objection. Man indeed eats and drinks with gusto, and not unfrequently let it be confessed without actual necessity. And also because of the fact that animal husbandry helps in fighting poverty, I felt I should just continue. So I went into this with all the vigor and all the passion that was in me. My earlier experience started with the rearing of just 4 does and 1 buck. And I also got 50 birds for poultry farming. And then, of course, all the 50 birds died in one fell swoop. And I felt, this is not for me. And so I began to create awareness for good sales. People started asking for rams and even cows. And so I tried to meet customers' demands. Some would want beef. Another would want me to clean for them to make it, presentable. And of course, many of them want it delivered to their house. So, and with all of these, I made up my mind to just decide and do it right and do it appropriate. So doing it right for me began with the processing. The processing, which is the usual tire burning, use of tire to burn the animals. And I felt, no, that was terribly dirty and unhealthy practice. And so I fired many of my butchers because I could not do it by myself. And so they were hell-bent in doing it their own traditional way, which is using the tire or the kerosene. And I was not going to do any of that. So I checked the cost of singeing machine. It was quite capital intensive. And so I also started looking. It took me 6 months and a half to discover this blowtorch that would actually burn the animal. And this took me to Ibadan, University of Ibadan, where I found this. So I brought this to Lagos and I began to use it. And tell you something, it actually impinged on the taste of the beef, you know. So doing it right also the supplier's way. At first, I started giving money to agents to buy for me. There were many disappointments, and I kept trying to get the right supplier. My mentor had advised that I should go myself. He's a Fulani man with huge herds of cattle in Abuja. I started traveling far and wide throughout the north, but never to the northeast. So many experiences, traveling as a woman, carrying large sums of cash, no taxis, no proper transportation, only keke or okada. There was dust everywhere, and it was quite risky and stressful, if you ask me. The only language spoken at such markets is Hausa language. I had to also learn to speak a little, like Inadelali, Gafara, Gafara, when cows are on rampage, you know. So this for me was quite interesting moments because I never had such experience. And I said to myself, I needed to succeed in this. So succeeding in getting the size and quality of animals that I wanted was key for me. So doing it right again, the feeding and the healthy way for those animals. The feed that we gave to these animals were the grass. Usually, when you give grass to these animals, because the grass is the one that has all the nutrients that is necessary for these animals, so it's the best feed for them. Although we had to supplement with other feeds like the cassava peels and also yam peels, and lately, spent grain from the berries, thanks to the people who helped in making sure that this became a reality for us. And also the vet services remain very expensive. I know that we have the government here, Lagos State government. They know what I'm talking about. They try, but we have to look for vet doctors to take care of these animals at very high cost. And so also the waste disposal and drainage. We try to clean meticulously all the time, and we recycle the cow dungs as manure on our crop farm. Customers comment on how clean our farm area is. Doing it right, the staff and other aspects. Getting the needed staff, that's the farmers, the admin, the butchers, and so on, is a task, another task, I must say. Then the staff also, we try to make sure they're skilled, but also they have to be trustworthy, because it's not really about education, if you know what I mean. So by giving them the daily feeding and water, they are more motivated. Instead of monthly salaries, we pay them twice a month, just so they have money all the time. They don't run out of cash. And also, okay. This is very urgent, please, announcement. Aisha Akinolu should come out to attend to her crying baby. Thank you. Aisha Akinolu, please go out to attend to your crying baby. Thank you. So our staff, we try to make sure that they're really well-skilled and we motivate them. And part of motivating them is ensuring that we give them food on a daily basis. And also sorting out electricity, inverter for refrigeration. This was not the plan, but because customers are kept in traffic, you know, and then we have to keep their beef in the refrigerator for them. Setting up a good office space since I was spending so many hours of the day at the office, at the farm. So I needed a chair, especially a chair that can keep my back, upright, so my back will not hurt me. Too many matters to mention: the logistics and delivery system, bank payment and POS system, trying to automate inventory aspect, getting proper papers, using the technology like phone, SMS, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram. That's the social media aspect for marketing. I must say I do not take credit for this. My daughters have been the ones taking care of the social media aspect of this business. I'm grateful to them. Challenges of the middleman system. The cattle dealers don't deal with women. They only talk to men. That's the tradition. It's the culture. The real livestock owners are never there. You never get to see them. And you have to buy from the delalis. These delalis are speculators. Then there are still interpreters and many layers of middlemen. Unnecessary charges for like union, ladder, rope, loading, local government, and market, not to mention the delays that all of this would cause. So this whole system is so inefficient, and I am saying that the old practices should give way to new culture of doing things. And I think the way to go is as more people enter this business, the system will surely improve. Other challenges in getting animals from the north include transportation. Very hard to find lorries, and when you find one, they charge mercilessly. And also, of course, the horrific, they can stop handling dangerously large sums of cash. There are existing laws about cashless banking that should be enforced, especially in the northern part. So there are opportunities for growth in this industry. If you see what we have done with our calf, we raised a calf so beautiful, healthy, and beefy that people could not believe that they said it must have been imported. When we had a fair in Lagos sometime early this year, they could not believe. But we did, rear the calf. So it means that we can rear animals on a large scale if we have the land and the natural environment for them. We really need funds and government assistance, but once we get the needed support, we can rear animals and not have to import, especially from the north. So what I have learned in these couple of years, it has taken almost 3 years in this business now. What I have learned is, number one, have a good mentor. Take the first step. Just start. Be consistent and persistent about doing things right. Also utilize the social media because it helps to project your business in the positive way. And then, of course, through that, you also get feedback from people, from would-be customers, or even customers who have repeatedly, bought from you. So this is really very necessary. So also have a support system, because when the chips are down, you need a good support system like your family and friends. And then also have faith and trust God. Remember always, challenges are just stepping stones. They do not kill. And at this juncture, I would like to say that more women should be involved in agric, especially animal husbandry. The more we are, the merrier. It will interest you to know that over 80% beef, either in the cattle or the goats and rams that we consume in this country, is imported, brought from Niger and Chad Republic. That is the truth. That is the fact. I did not know this until I got into this business. So the more women, I'm saying women, even though this is seen to be a male-dominated business, but I'm saying that the more people that come into this business, the better for this economy and the better for Nigeria, because women are more focused, passionate, and prudent. And in all ways, this will help to reduce shortage of beef and dairy in the country. Thank you so much for listening.
Can we permit me to introduce the next speaker, who will be talking to us on greenhouse farming, Mrs. Kofo Duro-Simieti. Kofo Duro-Simieti is the CEO founder of Next Gen Farm, an agro-based company that specializes in the production, packaging, marketing, and distribution of fresh produce using modern technology. Our core products are tomatoes, bell pepper, and habanero, all grown using greenhouses. She is a chartered management accountant with a degree in economics. She has worked with Citibank and Cisco System in London. Permit me to introduce Mrs. Duro-Simieti, who will be educating us on greenhouse farming. Please hold on, please. There should be a Yoruba translation of the first speaker's speech. Sorry about that.
I'll just give a rundown on what I'm going to talk about. So there's going to be an introduction about me and my company, the changing face of agriculture, cultivation methods, greenhouse versus open field production, the business of farming, and the opportunities within the agri sector. So introduction, the idea for Next Gen Farms was conceived in 2013. So basically we started as a blog, and the purpose of the blog was just to reach out and get people's ideas on terms of what they think about greenhouse farming and about women in agriculture. And it was really positive feedback. So by 2015, we were already in the market. 2014, we spent that whole period, buying equipment, planning, and doing all that great stuff. Now, my company was set up with a double bottom line. We wanted to, be profitable, but we also wanted to make an impact in the environment. So when I say profitable, I mean that we have to actually create a company that will remain a going concern long term. And in terms of social, that's more long term. We're thinking about how do we contribute to the SDG number 2, which is zero hunger, and number 8, which is to provide decent work and economic growth. So the statistics show that 40% of the world population are involved in agriculture. However, it doesn't necessarily provide a decent standard of living in terms of living wage. So moving along, the changing face of agriculture. Now, it's pretty obvious. A lot of us have noticed that there's a huge shift from oil and gas to agriculture, and everybody's talking about how agriculture is the new oil. So we'll see about that. So outside of the shift from oil to agriculture, we see an increase in the number of women participating in agriculture on a strategic level. And statistics show that if female farmers had the same access to resources as men, the number of hungry people in the world would reduce by 150 million. That's how awesome women are, and that's the kind of impact we can make in the agriculture space. What we also see is an increase in the number of youths in the sector, and this is partly because of the increase in modern technology in this space. They're developing apps for farm management, for irrigation, for fertigation. They're all kinds of container farming. It's pretty amazing stuff. And another sector that is coming into this space is the retired set of people. Like my mom, Mrs. Folashade Jaji, she now owns a farm. She retired into farming, and she's having a blast. So I was actually told to speak about greenhouse farming. Now, the idea behind using greenhouse farming was that we wanted to produce fresh produce that was actually comparable to international standards. And that was why we chose to use greenhouse farming. Now, greenhouse farming can either come out, there are different types of greenhouses. The greenhouses, when we say greenhouses in Nigeria, it's not the basic of the basics, but it's somewhat basic. It's a metal structure with coverings, essentially, but it is not temperature regulated. But for where we are now, that's the best we're doing with it. We have the locally fabricated greenhouses, which we use local wood and local materials, but the covering still gets imported from China or Thailand. Another method of farming is open field cultivation. This is, I think, the most common form of farming, where people just, get land and they cultivate the land. Now, the major difference. One of the major differences is the cost of starting up. One greenhouse can set you back 1.2 million if you're using the metal structured one, and it's 8 by 24. However, if you're using the locally fabricated one, you could set you back maybe 700,000, which is a lot of money as well. Now, the second, which is a positive change, is the higher yields. The idea behind greenhouses is that you're able to maximize your yield. You're able to maximize your yield within a small space compared to if it's in the open field. And the reason why you can do that is that the greenhouse provides protection for your plants in terms of, it protects it from the elements, so rain, sun, and strong winds. It also, when you have like a disease outbreak, it is easier to manage and contain it within the greenhouse as opposed to the open field. Now, the type of crops you grow in the greenhouses must be high-valued crops. I mean, you're not going to go and grow okra or ewedu in your greenhouse. How much are you going to make for it? Can you actually sell 1.2 million worth of okra? No, you can't. So you want high-value produce like tomatoes, bell peppers, habaneros, things that a kilogram you charge at least 600 to 700. I think a kilogram of okra is like, 300, 400. And it doesn't even produce as often, as the yield if you grow indeterminate tomatoes. There are other ways of cultivations like hydroponics, which is basically growing in water and using mineral nutrients. And there's aquaculture as well, which is basically a combination of aquaponics, which is a combination of aquaculture and hydroponics. So basically, let me tell you a bit about my story, what I did, how I came this far. So now, when I wanted to start my company, outside of starting my blog, I really needed to identify what my goals were. So you have to be like, okay, I need to start a company, but why am I setting up this company? And for us, the idea was import substitution. One of the major ones was import substitution. The question we're asking ourselves is this: how do we produce tomatoes and peppers that people would think is from the overseas? That was the idea, and it informed a lot of, what we did. When we decided that was what we wanted to do, we had to take inventory of the resources we had available. When I say resources of our inventory, in terms of how much money do you have, you need to understand that if you're going to compete, whoever you're competing with, the question is, do I have the resources to compete with them? If I want to produce, fresh, beautiful-looking produce, do I have access to the same technology as my competitors? So we have to ask ourselves that: do we have access to people that can help us? And do we have access to other resources like land? So we looked at that. We figured, okay, we don't have so much, but we had enough to start. Because we started with 2 greenhouses, now we have 8 greenhouses, one of which is locally fabricated. Thank you. So the next thing the assessing our environment and the potential within it was ongoing. I mean, we had to know that where we're going to, there was a market for it. We knew that for sure. But knowing that there's a market, you have to ask yourself, can I access this market profitably? Because that's what changes. That is what determines if your business is going to survive or not. If the market is there, but you cannot access it, forget about it. And that's why people say start small, then grow. You just start small, break into the market, then you scale up as efficiently and quickly as possible. Once we knew that was all well and good, we started moving. So for example, I went for a training in Israel on greenhouse farming. I started connecting with other farmers, I started reaching out to companies that could be potential suppliers of my inputs and my greenhouses. Then we implemented the strategy. Then the last step is to evaluate the plan. When we started out really strong and things worked out. It was almost like beginner's luck. So we came in, we packaged our tomatoes, we branded, we did everything, and it was good. And we thought we could expand. Listen, when you want to grow, you have to have the resources to grow. Because after our 2 greenhouses, we now got another 2 because we did make money. Do you understand? And people noticed us because I was the girl that, this girl, she found me, let's see him. It's not possible. So people were really paying attention. Then when we scaled up, it was really, really bad. We lost so much money. I lost so much weight. I lost so much money. But, I'm still here. So basically, the mistake we made was, it is easy for you, when you have 2 greenhouses, you're the one monitoring it, you're tracking everything. But when you go to 4, you're only one human being. I hadn't trained up somebody to actually help me monitor it and all of that. So we dropped the ball on so many levels. And when one mistake happened, I'll focus on that mistake. Then another ball would drop, then another one would drop. Then I'm like, let's just stop. Then we went again, and we started planning again, and we came out stronger. So sometimes things happen, and that's good. Just learn from it. Now, my biggest expenditure was on land acquisition. So I got my land from Lagos State government. So thank you, Lagos State government. Then the government did a bit of land clearing for us, but I had to do most of it. Then obviously I had to buy farm tools and machineries. And the most expensive was my greenhouses. Then we had to get irrigation infrastructure. So we farm all year round. Rainy season, dry season, we're farming. And we had to, drill boreholes. I think I've drilled like 3 boreholes on my farm, and only 1 is working. So, sometimes you want to go cheap, but in the long run, you might end up spending more than you need to. So once that was done, then, strategic planning, focus on the long-term goals. When you focus on your long-term goals, it helps you prepare for the future. You can use tools such as SWOT analysis. And for me, what is really key is you really have to differentiate your company from other companies. It's basically branding. You need to ask yourself, you're selling tomatoes, for crying out loud. I can get tomatoes anywhere. So why would I want to buy tomatoes from Next Gen? It's the experience, it's the quality, it's the consistency. You want people to want to associate with your brand, essentially. Now, this operational planning is basically operational planning. Operational planning is what would ensure that your business remains a going concern. Basically, this is very tactical. This is where you focus on achieving very specific and short-run goals and objectives. So, for example, one of our core objectives is that the farm must pay for every staff. So I don't want to dip into my capital budget anymore to pay staff. My farm does not pay me yet, but all the workers on my farm has to be paid by what we produce. And we were able to achieve that because we plan. Because the question you ask yourself is like, okay, what do I need to plant to raise at least 200K a month to pay everybody? How much do I need to sell? What is my yield? What my yield will be? Am I on track? So for example, if in the middle of the season you get a pest infestation, that's more than likely will reduce your yield. But if you're focusing on that and you take the next step, you're like, listen, this one is not going to do well. Let's start planting something else. So these are things you really, really have to think about if your business is going to keep running, and you have to focus on it. And obviously, financial and marketing plan is very, very important because, once your finances are in order, if you allow too many people to owe you money, you can't buy, fertilizers, you can't pay your staff, and you can't do what needs to be done. Now, marketing, let's talk about sales and marketing. One of the challenges a lot of farmers face is that they produce, but they don't have any off-takers. And now they're under a lot of pressures to sell. And the problem is that eventually they sell at really low and unprofitable amounts. We have to really sit down and plan before we plant large scale who our off-takers are. If you can get a contract, it's quite difficult if you're not big, but if you can, that's great. But if you can't, start small, then scale up. And all this ties into your product plan, your marketing plan, and your market risk management plan. So basically for me, my market risk management plan is that I have a bunch of people I supply to. I have like individuals, I have supermarkets, I have restaurants. And if one person decides after I've produced they don't want, I'm like, fine, I go to the next person. And it's also important that you actually build relationships. Because there are times I have like some aunties and uncles that when I can't sell some things, I call them that, uncle, listen, I have like 50 kg of tomatoes I need to move. Who should I call? And they give me a list of people. And I call their wives. And I ask them when I should bring it. I don't ask how many kilos they want. I'm like, how many should I bring? And that helps because the quality is good. They can keep it for as long as they want as well. Then record keeping is important. You have to keep farm records. You have to, fertigation, pesticide management, your harvest. You really, really have to keep these records because it helps you plan and you know what's going on. So when something goes wrong, you know what has gone wrong. And bookkeeping and accounting records, that's incredibly fundamental. You have to keep books. You have to, even if you're not keeping, just write it on a book or something. Just write it. Then graduate to Excel. And if you want, you could use some free accounting applications. I'm running out of time, so I'm just going to rush to challenges. One of the major challenges I've had, Lagos State helped me with my land, but it wasn't as straightforward as I would have hoped. And one of the major issues we're having is the lack of skilled and reliable labor within the sector. It's very hard to find a really good farm supervisor or a manager that has a good knowledge of greenhouse farming. Also, after the dollar crisis, a lot of our inputs, the price of our inputs shot up by like 30–40%, and we couldn't increase the price of our produce by that amount as well. Access to market information and price stability. And one of the other challenges as well is poor infrastructure in terms of roads and power. Currently, we don't have any electricity on our farm. However, the Lagos State government is working on it, so we're looking forward to actually getting some electricity on our farm. I think the biggest thing for me when we talk about opportunities is people always say, you can't go wrong with agriculture, everybody must eat. That's a lie. You can easily go wrong with agriculture. The fact that everybody must eat doesn't mean they will eat your produce, and it doesn't mean that even if they eat your produce, it's going to be profitable. You really, really need to sit back and really think about that, listen, this is a proper business that must be run properly. And if everybody must eat, they must eat my produce profitably. Nothing is free. But beyond farming, I'm in the farming space, but I also distribute and I also market. So there's the whole value chain. There's processing, there's marketing, there's input supply. And I think, in as much as, there's a push to, everybody's farming now, we really need to consider the other sectors. And that's it from me. Thank you.
Non-profit organization focused on promoting leadership, ethics, and social innovation among African youth. She's the co-founder of AACE, Food Processing and Distribution, an agro-processing company that partners with smallholder farmers and processes nutritious food made from the best of West Africa's cereals, herbs, and vegetables. And she's also a director of Sahil Capital Partners and Advisory Limited, an advisory and consulting firm focused on the agri-business and nutrition sector in West Africa. Indeed, he started her career as a management consultant and holds an MBA from Harvard Business School and also an undergraduate degree honors of multinational and strategic management. She was recognized as a young global leader by the World Economic Forum and received a national honor, member of the Federal Republic from the Nigerian government. I can't hear your applause. She was listed as one of the 20 youngest power African women by Forbes. She's on numerous international and local boards, and she's the author of Social Innovation in Africa, a practical guide for scaling impact. Please permit me to welcome to the podium our third speaker, Ndidi Uneli.
Good afternoon, my sisters, my mothers, my aunties. I have to say that Lagos women are the most. When I was just 25 years old and came to start Faith Foundation with Fola Adiola, she took me under her wing. I think you were the Commissioner of Youth of Lagos State, or Women Affairs, women. You took such good care of me as a young woman and opened the door for us. And I recognize all the mothers here who have gone ahead of us. Because of you, we can stand on your shoulders and do the things we do. Thank you very much. So I've been asked to speak on women in agriculture, untapped opportunities. And I want to start off by saying that when we think about agriculture, we often think about farming. But agriculture is more than farming, it's more than animal husbandry, it's logistics, it's aggregation, it's processing, it's retailing, and everything we do and say involves agriculture. The clothes we're wearing today, many of them are made of cotton or silk. That's from agriculture. The seats we're sitting on today, everything we have, even our bags, those of us who have leather bags, that's agriculture. Somebody has taken the skin from her cows and made it into Fendi and Prada and Gucci. And in fact, the person who's making the money is not the one who reared the cow. It's the Prada and Gucci that made it look so nice. And so agriculture affects every aspect of our lives. And oftentimes we limit our scope to just the minimal components of agriculture. Can we go ahead with my slides, please? I decided to focus on food processing. And the reason for that was because 40 to 60% of our fruits and vegetables go to waste. And it's not just fruits and vegetables. Even our yam, 30% goes to waste. Our grains, 20%. I don't know much Yoruba, but I know two phrases, Ebi Mami and Mofejel. Both of them have to do with food. The truth is that as women, we have to dominate the sector, but we don't. We don't. In fact, when you see in all our value chains, I'll use tomato as an example. Tomato comes from Kanu. About 60% of the tomato in Nigeria comes from Kanu. The farmer in Kanu sells it for 4 naira per kilo. By the time it comes to Lagos, how much are you buying it for? 300 naira or 500 naira, sometimes 1,000 naira for that kilo. But the farmer is getting 4 naira. Who gets the money between 4 naira and 500 naira? They call them middlemen. And I say, where are the middle women? Where are they? We have to get involved in every aspect of the value chain. There are some hard truths about women entrepreneurs. Many of us are still involved in micro businesses. In fact, 96% of the businesses in Nigeria are micro. But most of them don't go from micro to small, from small to medium, and from medium to large. One of our challenges, and I'm being honest, is that many of us want money quickly. We don't want to wait. In agriculture, you don't make money overnight. Progress is slow. You have to invest and you have to reinvest. I'll just move quickly to processing. Please work with me. Who is moving the slides? Now, when we think about food, and I talked about food, Nigeria spends 50% of our household income on food. And some of you who travel abroad might be like me. When you travel abroad, you buy food. How many people buy meat when they travel abroad? Don't lie. Many of us buy different food items because food is so expensive. Why is it expensive? Because we do not process locally. In fact, 90% of the processed food we eat in Nigeria is imported. Even the people who tell you that they are proudly Nigerian and they sell tin tomato that's proudly Nigerian, guess the only thing that's Nigerian is the worker who pressed the machine that put the tomato into the cans. Even the cans, many of those cans are not from Nigeria. So we actually have a lot of companies in Nigeria that import pre-processed items or already processed items and just package them. So what we decided to do through a company called Ace Foods is we decided to source from farmers and process for the local market. I started this company called Ace Foods with my husband in 2009. And we wanted to displace imports. We also wanted to fight the malnutrition in our country. Nigeria has one of the highest rates of malnutrition in the world. In fact, 1 out of every 5 Nigerian children dies because they are malnourished. And when a child is malnourished, it affects their brain. So when they tell you a child is not smart, you have to check what that child ate for the first 1,000 days of their lives. Most of those children were malnourished. Now, we decided to start a company that will source from farmers and process for the local market. And we started with very basic products. Spices like chili pepper, suya, pepper soup, garlic, ginger, turmeric. And what we found out is that most Nigerians will prefer imported spices to our local spices. Because even though they know Nigerian food is the best, they don't trust when you put it into a bottle. They'll prefer to buy fresh pepper, but once you put it into a bottle, they say, let me buy the imported one. I have some news for you. We found out that the imported spices are adulterated. Many of them are actually corn flour, they're colored, and then they put a smell to make it smell like the spice. But when you source locally, you actually use 100% natural spices. And we go all the way back to the farmer to check what the farmer is doing. We work with 10,000 farmers. We train them for the local market. We also give them microfinance, we give them technology, and many of our farmers are sadly not in Lagos because there's not a lot of land for them to use. Our farmers are in Kaduna, Katsina, Jigawa, Ogun State, Oyo State. Over time, we'll start seeing how we can source more from Lagos State. We have also introduced a soya maize breakfast cereal for fighting malnutrition. And when I went to an IDP camp in Abuja, I was shocked to see a baby who was 7 months. She weighed 5 kg. The weight was 5 kg. Her family fled from Borno to this IDP camp. Now, when a child weighs 5 kg at 7 months, it means that they are severely malnourished. And if they get sick, a cold, diarrhea, they'll die. We gave them our soya maize over a 6-month period and saw the change in their lives. I am grateful to know that my sister Mosu has supported us and encouraged proudly Nigerian products. And women like Mosu, who are at the forefront of agriculture, know what it means to support local produce. I thought you'd clap for her. Didn't she speak earlier? Yes. We started our factory in Lagos State, but we moved to Ogun State. I feel bad saying that we moved to Ogun State in a Lagos State gathering, but I know that you're sister and brothers with Ogun State, and you have a very cordial relationship. And we now have a presence in 10 states in Nigeria. We supply over 100 supermarkets. We've exported to the Netherlands and the United States. And our spices are also purchased by leading FMCG companies like Promaceter, flour mills. So when you open a noodle sachet and you see spices, they used to import before. Now they're buying from us. And that shows you that if you produce high quality, locally sourced produce, people will patronize you over time. Now, it hasn't always been easy. There were some formative mistakes, and I'll just talk about one of them. When we started, we wanted to do jam. You all know jam that you spread on bread. We found out that Nigerians did not like mango jam, guava jam, papaya jam, agbalumo jam. They said, we want strawberry jam. Why do we want strawberry jam? Because we've been colonized. Our minds have been colonized. And the truth is, we found that you have to do what your customer wants. Ultimately, the customer is king. So we quickly, even though we got a NAFDAC number for it, we quickly changed. The other hat I wear is that I'm a managing partner at Sahel. And I'll just tell you one of the quick things we're doing with women in Sahel Capital. We're partnering with Friesland Campina and LNZ to put Fulani farmers into clusters. And we're sourcing their milk to provide to Friesland Campina in Oyo and LNZ in Kanu. Now, the amazing thing about Fulani farmers, if you can settle them, is that it reduces conflict between them and farmers. But more importantly, in Fulani communities, women own the milk, men own the cows. So if you can empower the woman and she gets paid every day for her milk, you can change her life. Through this program, we're changing the lives of Fulani women. I'll end with one of my favorite quotes. I don't know how many of you have heard this. For women, when I have an opportunity like this, I encourage women, be the first, but never the last. Leave a door open for other women to come after you. Mentor another woman, educate another woman, groom another woman to succeed you, write a will and leave something for your daughter. Don't take it for granted that somebody will take care of your daughter. And I love this quote by Madeleine Albright, which says, there's a special place in hell for women who don't support other women. I know all of you want to go to heaven. If you want to go to heaven, support other women. The fact that you're here today means that you're already a supporter of women. Now, my favorite quote says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. Lagos State women are going with others. Let us take over the agriculture sector. Let us take over the agribusiness sector. Let us support proudly Nigerian products. And let's ensure that we feed our children for generations to come. Thank you very much.
Questions, please. Questions, please. Any questions? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Uche Dike. Okay, thank you. My name is Uche Dike. You're going to pardon me because I actually have 2 questions for each of the first 2 participants. My first question, I'd like to thank Mrs. Otitoju because she actually encouraged us. I never knew that women could go into animal husbandry, and it's quite encouraging to know that there is a woman who is actually in it. But I'd like to ask, do you have off-takers for your animals? That's one. Secondly, do you have access to the abattoirs? Do you have access to sell directly to the abattoirs? Yes. Do you have access to sell directly to the abattoirs? And if you don't, are there any challenges?
Hello, can you please speak to the speaker so that he can hear you? Thank you.
Thank you. I asked, when you raise your animals, who do you sell to? If I want to go into such a business, I'd like to know if I have off-takers, or am I just rearing out of passion for animals? Do you have access? Because we still see a lot of trailers coming in with animals into Lagos. Do you have access to sell directly to the abattoirs? And if you don't, what are your challenges? That's one. Then my second question goes to Kofo, and happy birthday. We share the same month. I'd like to ask, you didn't tell us how much it costs to actually have a greenhouse. And then can you determine how much produce can actually come out of a greenhouse? Because that could also help us to calculate our profitability. Thank you.
One more question for the Ndidi, please. Any question for Ndidi?
Good evening, ma. I'm Sekina Lawal. I just want to know which one is better off now. The locally made greenhouse, you said it's about 700K, and the imported one that is about 2 million. From your own experience in terms of durability now, which one is better? And for Mrs. Otitoju, the touch thing for the animals instead of using tires, how much they cost and how available is the...
Thank you. I will ask Mrs. Otitoju to answer the first questions before we answer the next.
So, yes, the first question, the first person asked if I have off-takers. Can you hear me? Okay. So when I went into this business, I actually was doing SMS all through the night. I would sit down. If I got stickers on my car, I don't throw them away. If I saw any magazines, I don't throw them away. I go for telephone numbers. So I have built a database of over 5,000 contacts, telephone numbers. It was really very stressful when I first started because over time I was sending text messages and WhatsApp messages to people, you know, letting them know about what I do, that they can share their cow and they can buy their products, livestock from us. So with that, not that I started with having already made off-takers. No, I do not. Also, if I have access to abattoirs, where I do my cleaning at my farm is totally different from what obtains at the abattoirs. Number one, when I first started, I was bringing those butchers from the abattoirs. But they had their own mindset, which was totally different from my own concept of, you know, preparing and processing the beef for consumption. In fact, that was part of the reason why I decided to go into that processing of the livestock for my customers. So, no, I do not use the public abattoir. I'm aware that the government, they have kind of control, you know, but I don't use them. I have my own butchers, and it's well certified. You know, and the environment is always clean, the process is good. And also the cost, to the other question, the cost of the blowtorch. It's quite very easy and cheap. The guy did, the first one, it was 18,000 naira, 18,000 naira, as opposed to the singeing machine, which was highly capital intensive, which I found on the internet. You know, that one costs like almost $1 million or so to install. But this one is easy to use. It's like a blowtorch. You know, you would see it in my presentation. It's actually there. So, and then it's just a local manufacturer that puts it together for me. But it's this particular guy who does it for the University of Ibadan restaurant where I discovered him. So he comes from Ibadan. And so now we've done like 4 with him. And they're working perfectly well. Thank you.
Okay, so the first question was on the profitability of the greenhouse. Let me also correct one thing. I didn't say the greenhouse was 2 million. It was the one I got 8 by 24 is 1.2 million. Now, in terms of profitability, it's hard to give you a certain number. We've had months where we've had 1,000 kg of harvest from one greenhouse over a 2.5 month period. So so we start from like 500 in the first month, then we go to 300, then the third month is between 150 and 200. And on average, you're selling at least 600 naira per kg. So you can sell between 600 to 1,000 naira per kg, depending on the size and quality of the fruits. So that will determine, you know, your profitability, the type of market you have access to. Some people, you can sell as high as 1,000. Especially when they order small quantities. But when it's large, they always want to go for 600. So that will really, and when you have a good month, so for example, we got hit by tuta, and we had to terminate a whole kit. So that's 600K gone. Do you understand? So those things happen. But the possibility is that, you know, you can have 2 seasons and do 1.2 million with one greenhouse if it's done properly. Now, the second question was on the durability, difference between the metal structured and the locally fabricated greenhouse. So now, metal structures are stronger than, you know, wood, because the locally fabricated one is made with wood most times. I think some people are going into metal I don't even know it. So basically, so for me, I prefer the metal structure because it's sturdy. One of the very first locally fabricated one I had, I've actually used it for 2 years, but I have to always keep repairing it. So we actually built a small one. It was maybe 8 by 14. At that time, we did it for 250,000. With repairs and everything, is now about like 330,000. And we have to get a new one, and we have to cover the top of it. So really, it's about value for money. If you have the resources to get a good greenhouse with metal structures, and you know you have to change the covering over 10 years, do that. But if you don't have that resource, if you don't have access to that resource right now, then fabricate a local one. At least you're learning, and as you get better, you might come up with a better design for the local one. So that's my opinion. So it's not yes or no. I do both. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We have come to the end of this session. I want to sincerely thank the 3 speakers and thank you for listening. Thank you and God bless you.
Your Excellency, the wife of the governor, Mrs. Bolanle Ambode, Your Excellencies, and may I also adopt the protocols earlier established. I'd like to welcome you to the 3rd plenary session, which has the topic of women development, a pathway to national development. The role of nation building or national development cannot be, women in national building or national development cannot be overemphasized. Over the years, women in majority of the countries have been relegated, and understandably so, because they think that our views are largely sentimental. However, women have continued in their various spheres to contribute positively to the progress of humanity. In Nigeria, for instance, we've had women play leading roles. In the pre-colonial era, the Moriyomis, the Queen Aminas of Zaria. And of course, we have the likes of Mrs. Margaret Ekpo, Mrs. Fumilayo, and Mrs. Gambu. Not only did they shape the political system, they also kind of engendered a free society. We have many female senators, legislators in the JDR, and many female. There are many women in politics. And of course, one of them will be speaking to us, and a woman of substance. She is a woman of many parts with intimidating credentials, I dare say, and of course, qualified to do justice to this topic. She is a product of the prestigious Queen's School, Ibadan. She holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in botany from the University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, a master's degree in public administration with a bias for public policy from the University of Lagos, Akoka, and a postgraduate diploma in education from the same citadel. Her foray into politics was before her appointment as the Honorable Commissioner, Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. She was the Deputy Majority Speaker of the 7th Lagos State House of Assembly between 2011 and 2015, and was the Deputy Chief Whip of the same House between 2007 and 2011 when she represented the Ikeja constituency. Prior to this position, she was actively involved in different political activities in both elective and appointed portfolios at different periods. She was chairmanship aspirant for Ikeja local government on the platform of the defunct Social Democratic Party, Secretary Justice Forum, Ikeja Local Government, ex officio member in the then UNCP Ikeja Local Government. She also served as board member of LASMA and at one time treasurer of CDA in Ikeja Local Government. A multiple award winner, she has to her credit numerous certificates, awards, and honors, amongst which are Great Women Award as the Outstanding Honorable Member 2013. Honorable Akonde, a great philanthropist, staunch believer in community and people-oriented developmental projects, also contributed immensely to the growth and development of her constituency through programs such as annual town hall empowerment programs, annual public speaking and mathematics motivational test competitions for public primary, junior, and secondary schools. She was awarded a Doctor of Philosophy in Public Policy and Administration by World Association of Academics, Evaluators, and Assessors, the body that coordinates the activities of State University of New York, Albany, USA in Africa, in conjunction with the Joint University of Standard Evaluation Council. She was sworn in as Honorable Commissioner, Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation on October 2015 by Governor Akinwumi Ambody. And incidentally, I was her first permanent secretary then. Here, she contributed immensely to women and girl protection, empowering girls and women, as well as poverty alleviation. She has since been positively impacting the activities of the ministry with her cognate experience acquired over the years. She is indeed a woman of substance. Her hobbies include sporting, traveling, and reading. She is married with children. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to join me in welcoming this elegant stallion, Honorable Dr. Mrs. Lola Akonde, to the podium. That one is working.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Your Excellencies. Please permit me to adopt the protocol that has already been established. I'm Honorable Mrs. Lola Akonde, the Honorable Commissioner for Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. You know, one funny thing is that last year I was here. I was a chairman of one of the sessions, but this time around, I'm on the hot seat because I know that so many questions are going to come in. So, you have to be very patient with me. I consider it a great honor to be standing on this podium today, speaking to the wombs that gave birth to every nation of the world. I wonder what our world will look like if we have about 7.5 billion men working hard and running around the planet without a woman. How do you think that will look? Our governor, one of the governors said it. He said a world without women, there will be crisis, isn't it? I want to especially appreciate Her Excellency, Mrs. Bolanle Ambody, and the organizers of this conference, which I believe accurately describes how indispensable we are in the scheme of things. The theme, she creates, she transforms, aptly describes the role of women. I've been asked to speak on a topic I'm so passionate about, women development, a pathway to national development. First and foremost, let's ask ourselves what national development is. When you talk about national development, it involves all aspects of our lives. Talking about culture, talk about the educational aspect, talk about the political aspect, talk about the economic aspect. As a matter of fact, it is a balanced development of all aspects of the nation. If it involves all aspects of life, and women are part of all aspects of life, then can there be total development without the involvement of women? Can this one get there? Okay. Can there be total development without the involvement of women? Okay, you can get it. If we look at the past, going down memory lane, we have women like Funmilayo Ransome Kuti. Funmilayo Ransome Kuti was the first woman to drive a car. Apart from that, she was an activist. And she fought against arbitrary taxation in Abeokuta then. Students of history will know what I'm talking about. Because after collecting the normal tax they were collecting from them generally, when the Alake then, the Oba, found out that the revenue was not as much as he was expecting, they started taxing them, or they gave them sanitary taxation as well as farm taxation. But they resisted it. And after they resisted it, they protested. What happened? And they were not successful. They now wrote to the colonialists then, and they had their facts. So because they succeeded in it. So because of this, the Oba had to abdicate his throne. So you can see how powerful our women are. Margaret Ekpo too. That's Margaret Ekpo. Oh, sorry. You can't get there. Margaret Ekpo, you can see her, I labeled it there. Protested against the killings of the coal miners in those days by the colonialists. And she was in the regional assembly. She was an activist. Jo Odubakin, she's a human rights activist herself, and she has been thrown into detention several times. I think I read it about 17 times. You have Theresa May, the PM of Britain. You have Hillary Clinton, who was Secretary of State and who gave Donald Trump a run for his money. You had Ibukwan Woshika, we've talked so much about her. She's a pastor touching lives, creating employment, CEO of First Bank. Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, a great nation. I hope you can see them. Okay. You have Oprah Winfrey, who is a top TV presenter, and she actually even built a school in South Africa. You have many of them like that. Margaret Thatcher. I must not forget to mention the late Ideology General, Alaja Abibat Mogaji. Though not educated, but she was very, very sound and sharp, and she was a great mobilizer. These are all great women who have done remarkable things, and that is why Margaret Thatcher said, if you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman. Is it not the truth? We've been saying it since morning. Now, if you look at all that I've said, it is better encapsulated in form of a story.
to tell you how great our women can be. In the city of Kigami, which I have there was once a man named John Bull. John Bull was the only child of his parents, and he didn't even have a father again, but he was the only child. So you can imagine how pampered he was. He was really pampered. He had everything that he wanted. He went to the best schools, and then when he graduated, they found him a job in an oil company. So it was good. He now took a wife, Loretta. Loretta has a diploma in education, and she actually wanted to become a professor. And she was hoping that even with the likes of John Bull, she'll be able to attain her dreams. But unfortunately for her, when she got married, John Bull told her she could not work. He refused bluntly. So what happened? Within a period of 11 years, Loretta had 5 kids. She had 5 kids. So she was virtually a housewife. So she was busy taking care of the kids. So when people started saying that she wasn't going to work, they started dropping their kids with her. So you know how smart we women can be. She now started collecting $2 from them, increasing it with time. Then came a time when the husband was sacked. He lost his job because they said it was part of a fraud in the office. So what happened? John Bull did not know anywhere to go. How was he going to help himself? At this crucial period, that was when Loretta came up to tell him that she had some money, and they started living on that. How many of us that are here has really experienced things like that, where you come up to assist your spouses? Does it not happen? Don't let us be ashamed of it. It happens a lot, where you rise up to the occasion and you assist your spouses. And this is why Miles Monroe said, when the purpose of a thing is not discovered, he said, when the purpose of a thing is not discovered, abuse is inevitable. This means that most men do not appreciate the capacity of what a woman can do, hence they undermine our value. I will add, however, that when the purpose of a woman is not discovered, a nation is stripped of her gold mine opportunities. And while it is generally agreed in leadership circles that leaders are made, what they fail to realize is that these leaders were born by the womb of a woman. Or is that not so? Which womb carried them before they were born? Is it not the womb of a woman? The second question is, which breast actually fed them? Is it that of a man? Who nurtured them, giving them warm and patient tutoring? Is it not the woman? Now, let us look at women, these women, and ask ourselves some questions. Look at Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks fought against discrimination in the buses in America. She, a woman. You know, you can imagine in those days where there were discrimination. You know, if there's those, you have the white part and you have the black part where they can sit. And if there were no space in the white part, they will ask you to stand up. In fact, it is automatic you should stand up yourself. But Rosa Parks refused. Rosa Parks is called the first lady of civil rights and mother of freedom movement. We've talked about Joe Odubakin, who is an activist, Mary Slessor, who stopped the killing of twins, Funmilayo Ransome-Kuti, the mother of Moses, who who wittingly just put Moses in the basket and ensure that he flew with water so that, and she hit somewhere so that somebody could pick him up. Steve Jobs' mother, the founder of Mac, iPad, the Apple computer, and I mentioned Margaret Echo. Let us ask ourselves these pertinent questions. Would there have been the civil rights movement without the heroic act of Rosa Parks, Joe Okeodubake, and several others? Do you know to what extent our people would have been oppressed and suppressed? Can you imagine it if there were no civil rights movement? 2, how many great men or women would have been lost who came as twins but for the incredible act of Mary Slessor? 3, would many women who drive freely today have been allowed to do so without the pioneering efforts of Mrs. Fumilayo Ransom Kuti? 4, would the Israelites have been delivered from Egypt but for the daring efforts of the mother of Moses, Miriam, his sister, and the daughter of Pharaoh, who all played vital roles in ensuring the deliverer was not killed in infancy? 5, would that have been your iPhones, Mac laptops, and all the Apple products we use today, but for the intelligence of the mother of Steve Jobs, who refused to terminate his pregnancy, despite the fact that the biological father asked her to terminate it. And she eventually gave him for adoption to a family that she was sure would nurture his intelligence. If these women were not given the chance to be as developed by a world that over time has been tagged a man's world, still went ahead to produce men, some of the richest men in the world. You can imagine what they would have done if they were really developed, what they would have done, how far they would have trained their children in order to ensure that they contribute immensely to the development of the world. Look at the likes of Aliko Dangote, who is a business magnate, Sonny, a renowned singer, Tony Elumelu, the CEO of UBA, Bill Gates, founder of the computer, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, Fela Anikulapo Kuti, a great musician, a legend. Malaila once said, she said, "I raise my voice not so that I can shout, but so that those without a voice can be heard. We cannot succeed when half of us are held back." There may never be a developed Africa without the development of our women, because our women are the ones raising our children, and whatever is imbibed into our children, that is what they grow up to be. Our men don't have that time. So, if knowing how versatile and very capable our women can be, we as women should sustain it and be up and doing. And in furtherance to this, His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode, has vowed to improve the standard of our women in Lagos State. To this effect, he has established 17 functional skill acquisition centers in the 5 divisions of the state. When we talk about the 5 divisions, we are talking about Ikorodu, Badagry, Ikeja, Lagos Island, and Ekpe. So we have these 17 skill acquisition centers scattered all over the place. This is to ensure that our women are assisted to reduce poverty and create employment. You should clap for Her Excellency now. And let me tell you one thing. We do not collect money from our students in the 17 skill acquisition centers. And I tell you, up to now, we've graduated over 60,000 of them. And we keep on graduating them like that, at least 5,000 every year, close to 6,000 every year. If anybody, some of you were there last year, you could see it was a great number. And they don't take money, even the demonstration materials. His Excellency produced this type of money in all the 17 skill acquisition centers. And in the skill acquisition centers, we have skills such as hairdressing and cosmetology, catering and hotel management, computer training, textile designing, hats making, bead stringing, barbing, printing technology, shoemaking, and leather works, furniture and woodwork, welding, block laying, adult literacy, to mention but a few. So let me tell you something, even if you are not educated, because what we try to do is to make sure that you first of all go for adult literacy, because it's important, whatever you're doing. If you want to become a tailor, will you not write the things down, the measurements? You will write them down. And it is amazing the way these people pick up. They pick up, the way they pick up is amazing. So, no, they say education is lifelong. So don't say because you are 50, 60, you cannot learn new things. Of course you can learn new things. We have very old people that go to the university to study. We see them. They go and study, not because they want to work with it. So that is the attitude we all should have. So this brings me to what I said, the leather works, the shoemaking. I tell you sincerely, my daughter is a lawyer, and a very good one, because even when she went to law school, she had a 2-1. So it's not as if maybe she didn't pass or anything, but she's into shoemaking. She's into shoemaking, and that is what she's doing. And I can assure you that if it does not pay her, she would have left it. And she have left the university now about 8 years ago. And definitely she's making money from it. So, and she's a boss of her own, and she's an employer of labor. So why can't we all do this too? Because let me tell you, you might say you have a job, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., but what stops you from learning a skill? Maybe during the weekends. We have short-term courses. Short-term courses. We have three months. We have even 6 weeks, 4 weeks courses that you can do. And God's so good, you don't even need a shop for it. Your computer is your shop. You can go online. Yes, my daughter has where she produces her goods, but she sells online. Anybody can do it. And that is why we give them digital training, entrepreneurial training, so that they will know, the money to spend and the one, you don't spend your capital, so that you can progress. So, after the training, we even empower them. We give them startup package. If you are a tailor, we look for fabric, sewing machine, all those. If you had been in Lagos State over the years, at least for the past 2 years, let me talk about my tenure, you will notice that we do poverty alleviation, and we distribute all these things. All the things that are necessary for them to start off their work. So we give them all these things. And do not let me forget that His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, has even gone a step further. He mentioned it this morning, talking about the Employment Trust Fund. So the Employment Trust Fund is even there, and it is given a 5% interest rate. Which bank will give you at 5%, will give you any loan at 5%? No bank. I think the best you can get is about 24%. So why don't we capitalize on it? If our governor is doing it for us here, and he told you this morning that that Employment Trust Fund is majorly, I'm not saying it's mainly, it's majorly for women. So let's capitalize on it. And I tell you that some people don't even know that this exists. You see, if you are not open to information, you are not better than an illiterate. So you must be open to information. Listen to the news in the morning. The radio does not cost more than 2,000, and I'm sure we have some that at even 500. Go to Koko Inu Wero and go to 105.5. And then we have the women radio, 97.1 WFM. Listen to the news. It was amazing when I was talking one day, and I was talking to a group of people, and I tell you, they did not even know anything like this, and they are in the system. Please make use of this employment trust fund. Collect it. I think the list they can give you from 100 to up to about 5 million. So please let us access it. Although it comes with some requirements, and they are not too stiff about it. Have your last track card, fill the form, have a BVN number, or is it too much? Some people don't even want to pay 5%. How much is 5% of 100,000? 5,000. 5,000. So why can't you pay 5,000? Is it too much? So let us be up and doing. Let us be up and doing, because we know women to be very, very active. We know that our women are hardworking. So let us try to explore that too. Let me reiterate that the ministry, in line with its vision, will continue to initiate, embark on, and sustain programs and activities within its ministerial mandates to raise the standard of living of women and all others in the state. And His Excellency has said that it will continue to improve the women folk, irrespective of social, political, or religious affiliations. With all that we have said today, we must look at 5 critical points that we must not forget. Please, the 5 critical points. 1, a strong nation is not a nation where the strength of the men finds expression as a result of the weakness of the women, but a nation where the best of us lead the rest of us. It is God that gives gifts. A nation that fails to develop a human being simply because of gender bias will ultimately lose out of the benefits God has placed in that deprived gender. What if Miss A was the person that got created to find a cure for HIV, and our men or the society refused to develop them? You know what that means? Because some people would have died unnecessarily. Those that will contribute to the GDP of the country would have even died. So, Dr. Miles Monroe once said, he said, the wealthiest place on earth is not the oil fields, but the cemetery, because that is where you have artists who never sang and great people who died as peasants because they never allowed them to express themselves, to develop or to the extent that they could go, that their capability can take them. So you find them in the grave. What will it cost to respect the power that God has placed in our women and accept us as compliments? Germany is a strong nation. You can see Angela Merkel there. Germany is a strong nation. You can see Angela Merkel. Is it there? Please, can I have Angela Merkel? And it's led by a woman because the society threw her up. And look at Theresa May too. She's now the Prime Minister of Britain. 2, nation that develops women eventually produce, please can you take it back? Eventually produce strong system that births a strong national culture. Look at UAE in the 1980s versus UAE in 2016. Look at it. United Arab Emirates. Then in the 1980s, how many people used to go there? We all love good things, so we should work for it. We never used to go there. But now, look at what United Arab Emirates looks like. It's a tourist attraction. Everybody wants to go there. And why is this so? This is because they provided a level playing field for their women. About 91% of the women are educated now. And once they're educated, you know what it means. They will be able to contribute their own quota to the system. And that is why you have United Arab Emirates like this. So let us be up and doing and ensure that we all also contribute to the development of Lagos State and the nation at large. So I have some women there. I now included Chief Mrs. Nike Akonde, the President of Lagos Chamber of Commerce. Number 3, nations that develop women birth a strong cultural ideology and values and work ethics that eventually reduces poverty and raises the country's GDP. Look at Mrs. Folorunsho Alakija. She's an oil magnate, and she's particularly interested, she's a philanthropist, and particularly interested in widows. So she trains them in skills, because I was there one time, and the beads they did and some other things were really, really beautiful. So she's contributing her own quota, not like some of us that are millionaires, and then you don't even help anybody. It's about you, 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 and you. So look at Remi Tinubu herself there. She's a philanthropist, and she also reduces poverty by doing an annual 12-hour meeting where she gives people poverty alleviation. Apart from distributing materials, she also distributes money to ensure that they are able to continue with their trade. I mean, their constituents. And don't forget the bills that she proposed in the Senate. We all know that normally we have more men than women wherever, even here in the House of Assembly. Because I can remember one time when I proposed a bill on sexual harassment. You understand? Of course, it didn't sail through. It saw just the first reading. So she proposed some bills then on Lagos having a special status. And then I think she talked about a social welfare package too. But we are yet to see the results. So our men should really let us be so that we can move forward. Look at Funke Okweke. She is chairman of Main One Cable. She happened to be my classmate in Queen's School then. Very brilliant and a student all round. A student all round. That's why, and when we got to the university, I think she was the only female in elect then. You understand? Brilliant. And that's why she's there today, Main One Cable. Number 4, nations that develop women eventually produce responsible men and strong institutions. They are asking me to round up. But look at them. When they develop women, when nations develop women, they're able to bring up their children properly. It makes them to have self-confidence. When you teach your children well, they will not be oppressed by anybody, not especially the female, their wives. Because if they have self-confidence, whatever the woman becomes will not mean anything. And let me tell you, because of all these cases of insecurity, lack of self-confidence, you can see that most times it results in domestic violence because the man cannot stand the success of the wife. Or is it a lie? It happens a lot. But if the woman is developed, if you develop women to the extent that they should be developed, they will transfer it into their children, because it's always said that if you train a woman, you train a nation. So they will not like to reduce the case of domestic violence. Nations that develop women eventually experience multiplication of wealth, health, and prosperity. Look at our amiable, diligent, hardworking First Lady, Mrs. Bolanle Ambode, who is a credible visa tago, playing a major role at ensuring many more women across Lagos are empowered and also with information, and also empowered with information that can lead to an egalitarian society that is not gender discriminatory. Mr. John Bull did not know that it was undermining the development of his family and his future by failing to develop Loretta. But a Loretta who took responsibility for her own development was the one that eventually saved the family in the days of adversity. In the future that is not too distant, I believe our women who are now taking responsibility for their development will be the key that will develop our nation and usher in a developed continent. Having said, are you not going to be the key that will develop, usher in a developed continent? Women, are you tired? I expect a clap there. That you will be the one that will usher in a developed continent. Leave the men alone. You will be the one to usher in a developed continent. By the special grace of God. Having said all this, is it not true that we are really the world? Like His Excellency said, that we make the world go round. And on this note, I would like to crave your indulgence. Maybe we should exercise a bit with this song. And with the song, I have some wordings changed there. We are the world, USA for Africa. Please, can we have that? Please let us stand up. Let us stand up. Let's hold our hands together. Let's hold hands together. Music. We are singing the chorus. Whoa. We are the women. Look at the board. We are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's keep walking. There's a choice we're making in raising our standards. It's time we make a better day, just you and me. We will take it again. Look at the wordings. We are the women. We are the ones who make a better day, so let's keep walking. There's a choice we're making in raising our standards. It's time we make a better day, just you and me. We thank you for listening. Ìtẹ̀síwájú ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó.
Just briefly. It's time.
Hello. Kí màmá wa tó sọ̀rọ̀ nítorí àsìkò, ìṣẹ́jú méjì péré ni máa fi ṣe àtúpalẹ̀ nǹkan tí kọmíṣánná wa bá wa sọ, Honorable Dr. Mrs. Tọ́lá Àkàndé. Wọ́n ṣe lálàyé wípé bí a bá lè mú ìgbélárugẹ àti ìdàgbàsókè bá àwọn obìnrin, ó dájú pé ìdàgbàsókè bá gbọ́ àwùjọ wa. Wọ́n tọ́ka sí àwọn ògbóǹtarìgì bíi màmá wa Alhaja Bàtú Mọ́gàjí, àwọn bíi màmá wa Ransom Kuti, àwọn bíi Joe Dumakin àtàwọn bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ bíi Níkẹ́ Àkàndé màmá wa Olúrẹ̀mí Tinubu gẹ́gẹ́ bí ipa tí wọ́n ti kó nú ìdàgbàsókè àwùjọ. Wọ́n fi ìtàn arábìnrin kan tó mọ̀ sí Loretta àti John Bull ọkọ ẹ̀ ṣe àpẹẹrẹ nínú èyí tí John Bull ò jẹ́ kí ìyàwó òṣìṣẹ́ ọkọ ṣùgbọ́n ìyàwó dọ́gbọ́n sí wọ́n fẹ́ kọ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí bímọ jọ. Ó wá fi àpẹẹrẹ ọmọ tó ń bí ó fi bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí tọ́jú àwọn ọmọ kéékèèké ibẹ̀ náà ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí rí owó tí gbéga wá bá wọn. Wọ́n níbẹ̀ bá fẹ́ kí èèyàn sọ̀rọ̀ nípa nǹkan kákan fẹnu lu bóńbóń lásán ẹ̀bẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ ọkùnrin ṣùgbọ́n tí wọ́n fẹ́ kíṣẹ́ ṣe.
Lagos State, I thank God for you. I please want to ask a question. As an indigenous of Imo State, residing here in Lagos, how do we reach to you, or how do you impact this to us? Because sometime this year, February, March, April, May, June, I was in the office at Alausa to get this opportunity for our Imo women in Lagos. I was told for this year, nothing. I don't know if it is true or not, because just said now that it is usually done yearly. So please, ma'am, how can the Imo women in Lagos be impacted by this wonderful knowledge of yours, ma'am? Thank you.
Good evening, ma'am. I would like you to talk about employment trust fund, ma'am. Please, I would like to know if it is accessible through bank. And if it is yes, then is it all the banks or some selected banks, ma'am?
Your name?
Elizabeth Olatunmos from Ikeja LCD.
And what keeps you going, judging the fact that women are considered second-class citizens in Nigeria? Politically, how do you manage, and what keeps you going? Thank you.
I think so. How are they going to reach you?
When you came, where did you go to? Because what you just needed to do was to ask for those in charge of the skill acquisition centers. And they would have told you exactly what you needed to do. Collect a form. Just make sure you collect a form, and that is just it. And we recruit for the 9 months courses in September. And for 3 months courses, you will have to come there, where we'll tell you when to apply. We have 3 months courses, we have 4 weeks courses. So you will have to come to the ministry or get the phone number of the lady in charge. Mr. Oluyemi, Sadu, Mrs. Falana, my PS is here too. Please just stand up and let them know where you are. PS, Mrs. Daddy. You know, it's the lady in blue.
That's the permanent secretary.
In blue, she's in blue. So go there, they'll tell you what to do. We'll run our courses throughout the year. Please, and very soon we are going to have the graduation ceremony for the next set of those that were trained for 9 months during this is November, in November. Then we're talking about Employment Trust Fund. The Employment Trust Fund is through the Ministry of Wealth Creation. Ministry of Wealth Creation. Please go there, go to the office of the PS, Ministry of Wealth Creation. They will tell you what to do. And if you think you will not remember the Ministry of Wealth Creation, come to the Ministry of Women Affairs. They will tell you what to do and how to access it. Please, the funds are not for spending. You have to repay. If not, you will be blacklisted. Those of CDAs, what are we doing? I've told you all you can do. CDAs, and let me tell you, when we talk about skill acquisition, it depends on you. You have to come and tell us you want to go for the vocation. We cannot just bring our funds and just distribute to you. You have to make up your mind that that is what you need to do for skills acquisition. And for poverty alleviation, because I don't know if she spoke about poverty alleviation. For poverty alleviation, normally and sincerely, of course, we agree with me that we can't know everybody. So what we do is that we distribute through the LGA, through the wards, and we distribute through CDAs. Am I lying? We distribute through CDAs. So if you are not involved, then definitely, probably, you are not abreast of information. Somebody came out and said, the challenges I face. How do you manage and what keeps you going? I don't know if you're talking about the challenges I face at work or at home, or whatever it is. You know, just like every other thing, we always find challenges. The only thing is that you must brace up to face whatever challenges are in front of you. You just brace up. Face it squarely. Yoruba say, if you have challenges, you have your focus, you have your goal, you know that is where you are going. Just face it, and I am sure you'll be okay at the end of the day. I always tell some people, I don't know if it's very appropriate, I normally say that there's a great philosopher who says that he said the heights attained by great men are not by simple flight. They were the mates by sleeping by busy money the night. Of course, is it not a challenge that you don't have, you cannot sleep while others are sleeping? That's a challenge. But at the end of the day, you'll be better off than the person who is not doing his work, just because the person is facing some challenges and say, you are not going to do it again. You understand? You face it headlong. And when we talk about my home, well, by the time I went to politics, most of my children were grown-ups then to a certain degree, so I didn't really have a problem. And I have a husband who is understanding when it comes to things like that. And even if I got married to him, he loved to cook. You understand? I thought you were going to laugh. The husband will not cook. You will never find them in the kitchen. He loves to cook, and he still loves to cook. So I don't have a problem when it comes to it. Even when I'm around, even in the kitchen, he still comes there. Let's do it like this, let's do it like that. So I don't have a problem with that. So I hope I answered the question. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Dr. Mrs. Lola Apode. Ladies and gentlemen, this wraps up the third plenary session. Thank you very much for listening.
We are one, we are Cowsol, and we stand by our husbands. We are the mothers of the land.